Get us up on Instagram and Substack, and we'll be ready to go.
Right on.
No style. Promises made, they rot in the air. A handshake, a lie, a blank.
I wrote this.
Cold stare.
You wrote what?
This song. I don't know if you can hear it. Hold on.
Can't hear it.
Okay. I'll send it.
This is some bullshit. We see through it.
Hear that?
This is some bullshit. Can't undo it. Say it loud. We won't quit. This is some bullshit. Paper thin truths that crumble like ash. Golden thrones built on stolen cash. We raise our fists, we break the mold. Your house of cards is getting old. Static hums, the wires ignite. Truth's a bomb, we're ready to fight. This is some bullshit. We see through it.
All right.
This is some bullshit. Can't undo it.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
Say it loud. Bullshit.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
You think you know something about everything, don't you?
All right. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let me jump right in here myself. Say hi to everybody. Welcome to the show. It's HAL Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide, and let me bring in the guest of the hour. I got to say, I'm very excited to have a published author. Like we have Tara on occasionally, but now I get to get all fancy and get a published author on my stream. I've made it, Ma. How are you, sir?
Hello, sir. How are you? Greetings from Harlem, New York.
All right. Well, if you insist, that's what I would have guessed a person of your pallor would be currently. So congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
It's I have ordered. You got all mad at me because I ordered a copy of it, which I'm sure is in the mail sometime soon. And because I purchased it, and you're like, I'll send you a free book because we've toured together and we will again. But in the interim, So I don't know why some people maybe you can explain this to me. Why there are some people on our side of the aisle that particularly find it important to tap out right when things get important. Rachel Maddow, where you just Jon Stewart, where everybody just like right as the arc comes, and I'm like, you gotta double down and grind. That's just my 2 cents, you see. But how's the book going? Tell us all about it, and then we'll get into the insanity of the day.
Thank you, Mr. Sparks. It's a pleasure to be here with your deeply attractive audience. My book is about, it's a guide to using the Bible when you have to debate a right-wing Christian nationalist or fundamentalist. It is a book for atheists and agnostics and believers of all faiths, even conservative Christians, because conservative Christians will have to deal with these rat bastards at some point. The book is called Separation of Church and Hate, A Sane Person's Guide to Taking Back the Bible from fundamentalists, fascists, and flock fleecing frauds. And it really is a helpful and comedic guide
Hmm.
uh, for anybody who's ever watched Fox News and seen these right wing Christians and said, Jesus Christ, these people are the opposite of Jesus Christ. Now, you don't have to believe in any part of the Bible as literal fact to recognize that these people who use this book as a prop and hide behind it don't actually follow the commandments and teachings of the guy their religion is named after. You cannot follow Donald Trump and Jesus at the same time.
Right.
It just means you've never read either one of their books. So, this is a guide when you have to sit down and deal with anyone in your family, your job, your social media feed, God forbid, who thinks that somehow you can be a Christ follower and be full MAGA all at the same time. And it's a guide how on every issue that divides us, immigration, abortion, feminism, LGBTQ equality, gun safety legislation, how poverty, healthcare, Jesus, whether he's real or not, whether you believe in him or not, is on your side when you're debating a right-wing Christian on any of these topics. And it's all about the scripture you got to drop to shut them up. You won't
Hmm.
convert them, but you will win over the bystanders, and you will give a lot of support to their wives and kids at the holiday cookout.
I have had a recently, Dr. Fugelsang, if I may, Professor Fugelsang, if I may,
Yes, sir. Oh, yes.
Captain Monsignor Fugelsang, a man
Come on to
of,
me.
yes, well, I tried that on tour, and you kept your door
Yeah.
shut. Yeah, the I have been coming to the conclusion lately that one of the things that we have that the other side, by their violent rhetoric and their despicable, bigoted language, has in some ways set the tone for the arguments that we have. That we
Yes.
must defend on the same in the same musical scale that they set the tone on in the first
Yes.
place. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
disagree. And the simplest example of this that I can give, like, or an analogy to this, is that when you're confronted by the police, you're pulled over by the cops or whatever, you absolutely have the right to remain silent, but you also have the right to not be an asshole at the same time. These do not
Correct.
have to be parallel tracks, and because with this like National Guard on the streets of of DC, and then attempting to spread it out or whatever, they are attempting to gin up people's hatred of
Yes.
authority because they want people to associate them with authority, when that's obviously not true. Trump is a
Yes.
lawbreaker and all that stuff. And I would think this would go to the same thing with Christianity, that some folks on our side of the aisle attack the religious among us, or the spiritual among us, or the people that do say openly that their faith informs their actions or their
Yes.
vote or whatever, in a way that is not fighting, not, I don't know, interacting with the
Yeah.
person in front of you, but
It's
fighting this.
counterproductive.
Yes,
It's
this
counterproductive.
cartoonish version.
When atheists and progressive and moderate Christians start forming alliances, since they agree on like 95% of
On the
shit
principles.
in terms of policy,
Right.
then you'll see some real change happening. I'd love to see more churches and atheist groups partnering up to do homeless outreach. I mean, why not? And I am happy so far having a pope who seems to be actually following some of the things Jesus talked about. And a lot of its language, you're right. I mean, when they say illegals, I recommend saying Christian refugees, because that'll
Right.
infuriate them and it's more accurate. But
Yeah.
you're right. Here's the deal. I've all my life had tons of atheist brothers and sisters say to me, "Hey, man, religion's responsible for all the oppression of women and the violence and the homophobia," and I can't disagree with that, except to say that it's not religion; it's the right-wing fundamentalist wings of all the world's religions.
Right.
Right-wing fundamentalist Muslims are the ones making all the problems. Right-wing fundamentalist Jews, right-wing
Yeah.
fundamentalist Christians. The moderate and liberal Christians, Jews, and Muslims are getting along just fine right now in schools, in families, in businesses around the world. They're getting
Right.
along. There's no drama. The media's not covering it. The right-wing douchebags who know that God's on their side, so anything they do is permissible,
Yeah.
they're the ones consistently. Fundamentalist Christians have more in common with fundamentalist Muslims than they do with moderate or liberal Christians or with
Right.
Jesus. And I go into this in the book briefly. I was going to make the whole book about this because I'm hung up on it. I have had this fight with Bill Maher like 10 times. The fundamentalists' 5 key traits. Number 1, women are always second-class citizens, no matter what religion it is. Hinduism. As the more right-wing and conservative you are, the more, shucks, God just put 51% of the people on here on accident. They don't have the same rights you guys have. Number 2 most common trait in fundamentalism, sex is bad. If it's not for procreation, if women or gay people are enjoying it, it's bad. Number 3, violence is okay if my side does it because I'm on the one side of the true God, so I get a waiver on slaying. Number 4, there's always a focus on punishment, not healing. The more right-wing your religion is. Jesus was never about punishment. He was always about, like, I know you feel bad. I'm not even going to ask what you did, lady. I can tell you feel bad. Go, don't be a dick. And that was it. That was his whole thing. Fundamentalism, Christians, Muslims, oh, they love putting people down for their sins.
Yeah.
And finally, there's this number 5, this penchant for victimhood that gives them a permission structure to be as evil as they want to be. When Donald Trump was running for president, he didn't say to the Christians, I'm going to do the things Jesus commanded us to do. No Republican has ever said, I'll fight for the things Jesus says. No.
Yeah.
They pander to Christians as a club. And he says, you guys have been persecuted. I'm going to fight back and put you on top. That is the opposite of Christianity. Christianity is about humility, washing the feet of others, servant leadership. If you believe in Jesus, it is not about total right-wing fucking domination of your local school board. So they go for it by saying you're better than everyone else, which is the opposite of Jesus's entire ministry. So those 5 traits, Netanyahu, Hamas, all the fundamentalist Christians here have those 5 things in common.
Vladimir Putin and the Russian Orthodox, and so I would go. The way I've always looked at it is that Orthodox religion, no matter where it came from, is at odds with democracy. Has to be, and this is and I'm fairly certain. I can't think of one personally. Maybe you can. All Orthodox religions are monotheistic. All pantheistic or polytheistic that I know of, you can't really have an orthodoxy because everybody gets to pick their favorite, Thor, Odin, offshoot, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to say you're right about the democracy, but man, Conclave was a fucking good movie. Whoa, that was some Orthodox democracy for two knuckle-gripping hours. But yes, go on, please.
You've seen me express my theory about how they actually choose a pope, which is they have that crate with the 2 pope hats in it, and they go at it like rams, and I stand by that. I honestly, because without exception, most of them come out seeming like they've had a head injury right since they were
I think I like this. I like this new pope, Hal.
I do too. I do too. He's kidding.
I like Chicago Leo. I like a pope who knows how to forgive your sins and where to hide a body. I find the whole thing refreshing. Imagine a pope who at the end of mass, instead of saying peace be with you, just goes, "We good? Huh? We good?" Like, I love this guy already. The Chicago Pope, my God, it's the best thing ever.
I don't know why Dick Wolf hasn't added it to the roster on Thursday nights.
Pope.
Yeah, Chicago Med, Chicago. Right.
The liberals are all angry. Liberals are all angry that he's not more liberal, and the conservatives are all angry that he's not conservative. But the rest of the world is like, wait, he's an American who speaks more than one language and doesn't own a gun?
That?
Who is this?
Right.
What?
Yeah, right. Well, that's the other reason why the Republicans don't like him. Now, so Trump signed a thing this morning. I don't know if you caught this dipshittery. They wheeled Pop out to sign an executive order about, like you can't burn the flag and like they're doing all this tap dance around. We'll do it without.
Oh, not even that. Not even that. No, it was nothing. It was air. It was saying, I'm going to tell the courts I don't think you should burn a flag. Executive order.
That's right.
The Death Star should come here and blow up New York. I have spoken.
It's gibberish, right?
We're going to get rid of I think we should get rid of the First Amendment. We know already. We know.
Yeah. So that was kind of my point. Is like he's signing this thing, and it says, you can't burn the flag, but and Pam Bondi leans in to go, we're going to make sure we're not stepping on the First Amendment. I'm like, you can't. You just can't. You cannot. You can't do it and not step on the First Amendment. And I've always said the American flag, part of what makes it great is it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of flags. If you strike it down, it only becomes stronger because it represents more freedom if you have the freedom to burn it. You can't burn the Russian flag, they'll throw you in a gulag. Same thing in China. Like if you deface images of the leader or deface the flag, you go to jail for real. And that's because their flag doesn't represent freedom at all. It doesn't. It's a party flag or a nationalist flag.
But it's also why you can't put the 10 Commandments in a public school building, because three of them violate the First Amendment.
5. I would argue 5. Because
well,
even
and I would say,
honor thy father and mother is free association. I think that falls under there. Yeah.
Honor thy father and mother. I mean, look at Mel Gibson, and you'll see how well that commandment worked out.
Sure,
but,
actually, he came pretty close.
Donald Trump has violated all 10 of these commandments. So any adult who is voting for Trump does not believe in these 10 commandments. So they are really teaching kids something down there in Oklahoma and Louisiana and Texas. They're teaching them not to take Trump voting Christians seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so the first, like, honor thy father and mother, don't take the Lord's name in vain, have no other gods before me.
That's free speech. That's free speech.
That's all free speech, freedom of religion.
And even committing false witness.
Even committing adultery is, I mean, we can divorce now, and what the hell is adultery in modern setting? Like, maybe that's just what a breakup looks like with a legal document attached to your relationship.
Listen, these Christians, Hal, they don't want your kids to know. They don't want your kids to know what a gay marriage is, but they want your kids to know what coveting thy neighbor's wife is all about. So they're really looking out for the little ones.
I would argue that Trump's gravest sin, the one he commits the most, and is the seed of the tree of sin that he will hang himself from eventually, is coveting. Is the difference between, I've brought this up lately because it's really been a thing that I kind of came to a realization, which was,
I think you're talking about capitalism and the Republican Party too. But
envy can be, you can be capitalist and envious. You can go, I want a car like that. I want a house like that. Coveting is, I want their car. I want their stuff, right? And it's a distinct, it's why envy, it's why it's not, thou shalt not envy. Thou shalt not covet. And because that's what leads you to steal. That's what leads you to kill. Yeah. That's what leads you to think that your life has more value than the grievance of another human being, or their existence, right? And so coveting, I would say, I used to kind of blow that one off as kind of silly. It seemed like because it had oxen and ass in it. As a kid, you're always laughing at thou shalt not cover his oxen or his ass. And you're like, but the covet part, right? You start to recognize the difference between, envy, and that's greed as well. Greed is covetous. It is not envious, right? It is, I want this so you can't have it too. Because greed is different than just, I want mine, I want a lot. And that's why I think there's a vacillation in this. And I think it's why they've been able to own the conversation on just like business success and all that kind of stuff ever since the greed
and
is
they're
good
both
shit.
Antithetical to the ministry of Jesus. These people don't follow Jesus. And it's really easy. You don't need to follow Jesus yourself or believe in the miracles as literal fact to call out hypocrites. In fact, one of my favorite things Jesus does is show us how to call out right-wing, extreme conservative religious hypocrites on their own hypocrisy. And that's why I wrote the book, because I want people to know how darn good it feels.
Yeah, well, I like they should. I keep responding with good luck putting the 10 suggestions in front of all these schools, because that's what the Republicans have turned them into. The 10 guidelines, not quite a rule. So the other thing is, and this is the difference.
I gotta say, can I just say one thing, Hal? In my book, the real unsung villain is the media in all of this, and always has been. My parents were ex-clergy, and my dad was a social studies history teacher, and I grew up watching the news all the time. It was always on in my house, and they'd always bring on Christian leaders during the rise of the moral majority, the Falwells, the Robertsons, Christian leaders who never talked about the things Christ talked about, never talked about helping the poor, helping the sick, welcoming the stranger. They never talked about the evils of racism. They complained about people who protested racism, and they still do. The Bible's not against abortion, but Jesus was against the death penalty. These fundamentalists never fought for things Jesus talked about, and the media never challenged them.
Right.
To this day, I've never seen any interviewer ask Mike Pence, Where in the Bible does Jesus drive the gay wedding cakes out of the temple? Jesus is not anti-gay. The Bible's not against abortion, but we've had 45 years, 2 generations of Christians groomed to believe that forcing citizens to be pregnant against their will has anything to do with Jesus's ministry or with the Hebrew scriptures. And the media has been the guardian. They are so terrified of asking a difficult question that they have allowed this ignorance to spread. And as a consequence, the average MAGA person knows less about the Bible than the average atheist who's already been to hell and back. So they're complete frauds on it. And that's why, I just think that we have to start engaging, because the media's not going to do it. And we see it all the time on every issue. Jesus commands us to welcome the stranger in Matthew 25 and says individuals and nations will be judged by how they welcome the stranger. I'm not saying a country should not have regulations on who comes in. It's the criminalization of migrants. Right. It's the fact that the Hebrew scriptures, God commands you relentlessly to welcome the stranger. You can't be an illegal when it's legal to stand on soil in America and ask for asylum. So I was on CNN with Scott Jennings a couple weeks ago, and I said to him, Jesus says individuals and nations are going to be judged, heaven or hell, by how we welcome the stranger. Why should I listen to Donald Trump and you and not listen to God and Jesus? Right. And that's an argument any atheist could make to their uncle racist this Thanksgiving.
Right. And I also have been a big believer that the Judeo-Christian concept, like they keep bringing, this is a Judeo-Christian nation, the Judeo-Christian, it's not because they support the people of Judea or something like that. It's that they like to pick and choose from the first, book of the Bible and the New Covenant, which is, they call the New Testament, which is a way of getting them off it. The New Testament is the new covenant of Christ. It means you have made a deal and an exchange with Christ instead of just, he said this, we participate.
Sermon on the Mount.
Yes, is a participatory sermon.
He says, when you heard it was eye for an eye, I say to you, turn the other cheek. He is reorganizing the entire order of Jewish
If they
law.
hung him for anything, if they crucified him for anything, that's what it was. Yeah.
It helped get him killed, no doubt. I mean, that's what the whole thing is, the new covenant. The old law doesn't apply, which means you homophobes who want to cite Leviticus, which is a list of tips to keep your tribe's numbers up when you're wandering in the desert for 40 years. It applies to the Jewish people who were freed from Pharaoh, does not apply to Jesus' followers, but they cling to the homophobia, Hal. Jesus won't let him be a homophobe. Jesus commands you to treat the lowest person you see the way you treat me. Jesus commands them to love Palestinians and Israelis equally. Try that out on your racist uncle. They'll love that at Thanksgiving. But Jesus says it consistently. They don't want to follow it. So my whole thing is, let's take away their camouflage. I'm so tired of these Caroline Levitts who hide behind a giant gold cross so they can take a big dump on a New Testament.
Yeah. So, and that's, I've always sort of, I went to like Bible camp when I was a kid. I know you had a very religious upbringing kind of around that, but I went to basically Jesus camp when I was a kid. 3 years in a row.
I have that.
Read the Bible 2 times before I was 14 years old, and all the way through, studied it, did the whole deal. And one of the things that I was taught, because we were handed copies, I remember very distinctly, they gave us a copy of the New Testament by itself. And I remember being shocked at a Christian camp handing out an incomplete Bible, as a lot of like the old fire and brimstone preachers who used to troll through our town, all of them drunks and drug users, and they would tell sordid stories. It was an excuse to hear a dirty story before you felt like, but I can pat myself on the back because he found God, right? Tell more dirty stories. Well, I was smoking wine and drinking cigarettes with the ladies of the night, right? In a motel and whatever.
We Catholics didn't have that. We had gay men who were celibate wearing dresses. But go on, please.
Sure. I mean, I've always loved, the first like gay Catholic marriage, ceremony where they're sitting there going, "I love his dress, but his purse is on fire." Right? We have, one of the things, if you really look at it, what Jesus did to the Old Testament was what like Pam Bondi's trying to do to Trump's name in the Epstein files, just going through it with a black marker and going, nope.
Well, not really. I hate to disagree. The way Jesus artfully, like a good lawyer, phrased it was, he was fulfilling the Old Testament. He keeps using this phrase, it is
It's
fulfilled
done.
in me, when he says, you heard it said this, but I say this to you. So he wasn't denigrating the Jewish law that he grew up with and studied. He never stopped being Jewish. Jesus never stopped being a Jew. When the
Right.
Romans killed him, because that who killed him, they mocked his Judaism by putting a sign over him saying, this is the king of the Jews.
The
He
Jews,
never
right.
quit Judaism, which is something that Nazis of the 1940s and today still can't bring themselves to admit.
Sure. Yeah. And one of the things, I had to look it up while you were talking to like check myself. But Deuteronomy doesn't just say, "Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's a wife, oxen, or ass." Right? That was the way we always heard it. But it also includes his male and female slaves,
That's
and
right. That's right.
any of his property.
That's right.
And by the way, that means you're supposed to extrapolate from that his wife is his property. And that's why Jesus
And
was
she
like,
is.
nope. Right.
So I have a whole chapter about this because my favorite part of writing this book was discovering what a massively revolutionary feminist Jesus was. And so many Bible stories I grew up with that I never caught the significance of as a child. And that's by design. Women in the Bible have it rough. I say that the authors of the Bible divide women into two categories, property and icky. A lot of things about menstruation, and it's
Right.
incredible how much the force that gives life to all of us is described in the most disgusting, degrading terms
Sure.
by men who don't get it. But women were property. It's the gospel according to Ike Turner. Women did not have inheritance rights. Divorce was this: if I'm tired of you, get out. That was divorce, and it could be a death sentence to a woman. If she didn't have a family to go live with, it was prostitution or begging till you die. So it was not a world designed for women. The Jews are way beyond us now with feminism. They had a female leader way before us. We're talking thousands of years ago. Jesus, this revolutionary rabbi, is not allowed to teach women. You're not allowed to talk to women who you don't know. You're not allowed to talk to women who aren't Jewish. You're not allowed to touch women ever. Jesus breaks every taboo. Here's a few of them really quick. The Samaritan woman at the well. They were the most despised minority. Jews were allowed to hate them. They're walking through Samaria, middle of the day, it's hot. This woman's there getting water by herself. Strikes up a conversation. Jesus tries to talk to her. She's like, you can't talk to me. I'm Samaritan. You're Jewish. He doesn't give a fuck. And he says he knows all about her, knows her whole life, knows she's been married 5 times, doesn't slut shame her once. And this woman was by herself because women got their water in the early part of the day, but she was an outcast. Jesus didn't judge her, and he says to her, yeah, I'm the Messiah. The one time he admits that, it's to a woman he wasn't legally allowed to talk to, and it's the longest private conversation he has. There's the famous story of Mary and Martha, where he's bringing the apostles over. Martha's doing all the cooking. Mary's sitting at his feet reading. Martha's mad because she's doing all the work, and Jesus tells her, chill out, she's doing the right thing. As a kid, I thought, poor Martha, she's doing all the work. I didn't realize that it was illegal for Jesus to be teaching Mary. And the fact that Mary was sitting at his feet meant she was the top disciple. There were not 12 apostles. There were 15 apostles. There were 3 women who went everywhere with Jesus. But the guys who wrote the Bible called them groupies. This is Jesus saying for women that education is more important than housework. And finally, I'll give you one more, the bleeding woman. Sam Cooke wrote a great song about it. Bleeding for 12 years. So she was a social outcast, unclean in the eyes of God, had tried every kind of treatment. So she hears about Jesus. She goes through the crowd. She's breaking every law in Judaism by going out in public. By going in a crowd, she's endangering the souls of everyone because she's bleeding. So God finds her disgusting. Men wrote this down, right? This is the truth of the world she lives in. She touches Jesus. She makes him ritually unclean in the eyes of God by touching him. Jesus turns around and says, who touched me? She goes, me. And he says, you're healed. You're forgiven, daughter. It's the one time in the Bible Jesus ever calls anybody daughter. And he calls it to a ritually impure woman who was not allowed to touch him and made him unclean. She violated the religious taboo, and Jesus breaks the religious taboo forever. How it's amazing that right-wing men pretend they follow this guy.
Right. Yeah, I'm always stunned by it. The more you know about the teachings of Christ, especially, there are 2 things I think that inflame your rage. One is the misuse of it by people like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and women like Caroline Levitt and others. And the other is the dudes who rewrote it after he had passed in the rest of the Bible and in the arrangement of those words in the Congress of Nicaea and how they put the Bible together. I'm sure there's many translations. Hardly any of us could know if the words of Paul are the words of Paul for real. That kind of thing.
But
obviously.
how?
Yes.
They finally got it right and put Trump's signature on the front page. They finally fixed it. They got the perfect
Lee
version,
Greenwood
right?
finally put the pin in it. Yeah. So
evolution's real.
Right. We're always doing it, whether you like it or not. I would argue that that Christ was an evolution of Jewish philosophy in that period of time.
I would too. That's what he argued. His whole message is evolve, which is why it's great that people think believing in six-day creation theory has anything to do with Jesus. As a kid, this made me crazy. I was like a teenager, like, what the hell does a talking snake have to do with take care of the poor? But again, they don't teach it. It's all about population control. And if you taught them Jesus and his message, you'd have people challenging authority all over the place, and our capitalist system would be threatened because the Christians would realize it's our job to fucking help the poor and the sick people.
Right. Well, and again,
and they don't want to.
I would argue that it's that the existence of those things, the market economy, whatever, capitalism in and of itself, isn't mutually exclusive to not helping the poor. It's them setting the tone for the conversation, for the song. They are setting the note. They are the tuning fork by which we dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ending poverty is great for capitalism, but here's the greatest scumbaggy argument that all of our right-wing friends in the Christian faith have been raised with. The argument that is, well, Jesus said to do all these things, but he didn't say government's supposed to do it. He didn't say put a gun to my head and steal with me taxes or theft and make the government force me, blah, blah, blah. Conservatives gives more to the church than liberals. So when you hear these right-wing Christians make this argument, and you will hear it 10 times a day, what they're saying is we don't want to follow the teachings of Jesus in the voting booth. That little dead Jew can't see us in the voting booth, so fuck you, Jesus. I'm going to vote to make the rich richer. I'm going to vote for the party that keeps cutting Medicaid and Medicare. I'm going to vote for more war. And believe me, friends, Donald Trump is extremely pro-war when it's Vladimir Putin doing it to our allies. These guys despise the teachings of Jesus. Their true religion is believing they are better than other people. So they have the anything but Jesus loophole. They'll quote Paul. They'll quote the Old Testament. It's in the Bible somewheres. No. Christians don't follow the Bible.
Yeah.
Christians follow Christ.
Yeah.
That's who Christians follow. So
That's
they'll
right.
Try any way they can to get around it. And at the very end, they'll say, well, I do these things in my personal life, but it's not the government's job. Jesus didn't have democracy. Jesus lived under imperial occupation by Rome. So he didn't know one person, one vote. You have the option. If you want to bring it on earth as it is in heaven, if you believe that we have to have a Christian society based on the values of Jesus, that means you believe in what Jesus says are his top 4 commandments in Matthew 25, with the goats and the sheep. I'm going to separate individuals and nations alike. And the goats go to hell, the sheep go to heaven based on these 4 categories. Did you take care of the poor? Did you take care of the sick?
That's right.
Did you welcome the stranger? Were you kind to people in prison? Nothing about how mean you were to trans kids, or how loudly you screamed at women outside clinics, or how much money you gave to your church, or how much you hated foreigners and liberals. Those 4 things. That's Jesus's marching orders. You don't see Republicans fighting to put that on a courthouse or classroom wall, Mr. Sparks, do you?
No, and I'm increasingly hit by the irony of Donald Trump of all people putting them there, because the only answer as soon as you complete that task would be to turn yourself into the nearest prison for to spend the rest of your life there, because you realize in that moment how indeed hypocritical and guilty you are. Which brings us to the Donald Trump's apparent fixation with going to heaven lately. Now I've got to say, I'm going to put if we're putting bets on this, I don't think it's happening. I'm just saying for the record, if it does exist, ain't happening. Let's just start there. Because I don't think he really cares and, morally at all about any of this shit. I think he thinks he can buy his way in, which is gets us told like a camel going through the head of a needle. So what do you think his fixation is simply old man mortality, or the people around him are both?
Well, let's be honest. He's not a healthy man. We can say this, right? I'm worried
Oof.
about him. He's not
Oof.
a healthy man.
No.
I mean, they check his cholesterol with a dipstick at this point.
Yeah,
Okay,
Captain
like
Cankles.
he
Yeah,
he takes a golf cart to get to his other golf cart. You understand? Like his arteries
hmm
look like they've been deep fried. He's not a healthy man.
that's right.
He's his body is 40% Crisco, so he's not going to be around,
Yeah,
folks.
all
Have
of
you
his
seen the
red blood
ankles?
cells look like donuts from The Simpsons. Right. Yeah.
Oh my God, he looks like he's trying to smuggle ham hocks in his socks. He's not a well man, okay? That's
hmm
why this bitch Eve Harrington, the understudy, is waiting in the wings. JD Vance with the fucking eyeliner, like a Hot Topic discount rack come to life. So
hmm
so he's not well. So maybe he's musing on heaven. Here's the great thing about the afterlife. What I love most about believers and atheists is that both sides don't know anything. And both
Right.
sides would presume with certainty to know what the afterlife holds or what this world is all about. I don't pretend to. I'm in love with the mystery. That's my religion.
hmm
But if there is a heaven, there are possibilities. I don't believe in a hell. Okay, I don't believe that God has a place for the bad people to go. The ancient
Right.
Jewish concept of Sheol, Sheol, is what led to the modern Gentile concept of hell, and that was the absence of God. I was like a teenager when I realized, wait, how can fire hurt a ghost? And boom, all my hell teaching fell from my
Right.
brain when I was like 14. It
Yeah.
just cracked and fell off. Now,
It's an
if you want to get
excellent
really
point.
metaphysical, I mean, you could say that there maybe there is the afterlife where we go to be in union with our Creator, and then we're either there for infinity. Because remember, time doesn't exist. Clocks exist. Time is
Yeah.
something we invented. So if there is an infinity, and I'm getting very metaphysical here,
Love
if
it.
there is an infinity or a heaven, there's no time there.
Yeah.
I once heard an amazing Catholic priest
God
give a
is
lecture
extra
saying
temporal. Right.
you can pray for people. This priest Bob Hunt, my mother was into this guy. He said you could pray for people at the second they die, even if they died decades ago, because there's no time in heaven. The prayer will reach them the second they reach heaven, even if they died decades ago. I love shit like that. I know you do too.
Yeah.
The Conversations with God books would posit to you that everyone goes there, and that you can't understand heaven until you wrap your mind around the concept that Hitler went to heaven. That's in Conversations with God, and that's a
hmm
very difficult prospect. But on a Jesus-y level, I can understand how maybe if all this is true, that's the spiritual test for me.
hmm
I don't know if I'm going to be allowed into the afterlife if I'm walking around saying that this guy doesn't deserve to be there because of his sins. Again,
Yeah.
I'm calling out Donald Trump for his hypocrisy, but I refuse to hate him. If he needed a kidney and I was the only donor match on earth, I'd hop on a plane in a second. I'd
Right.
be happy to. I
hmm
want him to live a very, very long time, Hal, but that's for other reasons.
Sure. In jail, miserable. But yeah,
I
I get
think
you. Yeah.
it's as George Harrison said, as long as you hate, there will be people to hate. And I think if you leave this life with hate in your heart, I don't know where you're going, but I don't want to go to any place carrying that baggage with me. So it's fun to talk about. Ultimately, it's useless. All we can do is be the best people we can be, have cool conversations about what the afterlife might be like. And when it comes to religion, we can separate what Jesus actually said versus what his unauthorized fan clubs have been groomed to believe he said.
Yeah. I have my feeling has always been I don't have to hate the problem to be part of the solution. And in this particular
Amen.
instance, hate is not required for me to solve it. And it is why I think you and I share this as artists is that humor is one of our bigger tools to deal with it.
You have
Is
to. Yeah.
if you're in hate mode, you won't be funny. You just can't. Rage
You
is
can't.
something that
You can't be
cancels
funny.
out. And in this
It
age,
also
it's
you
so
can't
much.
be clever. You can't be clever. Hate
No.
makes you stupid, and we see wonderful liberals proving this on social media every day.
Right, right. And the people who I think people would argue, do allegedly hate him or whatever, actually have it's a performative hate, and the rest of it they have a much more rational view of how to interact with them and how to deal with them. Because I've always said, like, the man has no shame, but he can be embarrassed. That's why mockery and comedy are the
Oh
best
yeah.
thing. He doesn't give a shit about
That's why
outrage.
he hasn't talked about South Park. He can't mention South Park.
Right.
He has to take it like a pinata. I've waited all my life to see a Republican take it like John Kerry took it. And South Park's not going
Yeah.
to let up. They're doing the most important stuff they've done in decades. The comedy is tight. It's the same spirit they've always been. They've always been anti-fascist. They're anti-liberal, self-indulgent weenies too, and that's fine. We got to make fun of those people. But Donald Trump can't do a thing. If he sues them, he proves them right. And if he complains about it, he draws more attention to it. So everybody watch the first 3 episodes of South Park season 27 because it's amazing.
It's incredible.
Push back.
Well, and I'm amazed by the people who are getting mad on his behalf in Magatville, where they got angry and upset about it. And I'm like, you can't at the one time say you're the man and say, your guy is the man, and then get mad when the people who go against the man treat him like the man. Sorry. Yeah. That's part of the package, motherfucker. You're standing there.
Yeah.
That's the deal. If you're in a position of that much authority, you've got every criticism coming your way. And the only way to handle it like a real leader is to not be concerned and to take any of the criticisms that might actually have value to heart. He's incapable.
How? Because he's the man, but he's not a fucking man.
That's right.
He's a toddler.
He's the man, but not a man. Right.
A toddler whose mother was too sick to love him and too absent to ever say no, who has lived his entire life insulated, first by money, then by celebrity, and now by political power. He is a child. And the beautiful part is, when we were kids, there's those creepy old guys who still defended Nixon. And they're gone. Remember how much they hated us when we told the truth about Bush and Cheney, and they hated us for it. And now Trump gave them a permission structure to believe us, and so now they hate Bush and Cheney, but they hated us for it. They were so loyal. You don't think every one of these rat bastards in 10 years, half of these guys are going to deny they ever voted for Trump after 2016. And here's the thing. As the liberals, we keep saying, oh, when are the non-millionaires going to break up with this clown? When are they going to realize that this oligarch footstool is not their guy? We've been asking the wrong questions, Hal. I think what we're witnessing now is the beginning of a very different breakup. I think the oligarchs are breaking up with Trump first. I think the owners of this country, the landlords, they got their budget, the most obscene transfer of wealth from the 99% to the 1% in history. They got their deregulation. These evil fucks can poison the air and the water and the soil as much as they need. They got their fucking crypto loophole, these goddamn cocksucking criminals. So now they don't need this douchebag anymore. He's not one of them. He's sort of he owns the golf courses they golf at. Trump stands in front of the velvet rope that the oligarchs go into, but he stands there and says, no poors allowed. He's never been one of them. And now that they got their legislation passed, they could get just as much value out of Peter Thiel's little puppet or one of the Bush kids as they are from this guy. Yeah. And the proof is Rupert Murdoch, because Rupert Murdoch reported about the Jeffrey Epstein birthday card, and Trump sued him for $22 billion. And how did Murdoch respond? How did he respond?
Yeah.
The next day, Murdoch put out, oh, and by the way, 22 billion, sure, see you at Discovery Face. By the way, Pam Bondi told him he was in the files in May. That's how scared Rupert Murdoch released that the day after the $22 billion lawsuit against him. The oligarchs aren't afraid of him. They don't take his lawsuit seriously. And it might be, at the end of the day, the evil motherfuckers who built this country, who only wanted white men to be allowed to vote in the first place, and they're still calling the shots, they're going to be the ones to crush him. And it's going to be like a Bond villain hitting a button that says delete asset. They don't need him anymore, Hal.
Yeah, I think that's why they've been bum rushing this shit through. And even the executive orders, they're giving him like a task every day so he feels like he's doing something, but he doesn't even know what he's signing. They announce it and he just signs it and goes, like a kid who's made a boo-boo in his diaper. But I think a lot of these are just pages out of Project 2025, and anything they can't get through in legislation. Which, by the way, in the BBB, which he just named after Biden's BBB, so he can claim that he passed the BBB later when people talk about it, so that he thinks he's going to rewrite history, that people think he passed the Infrastructure Act. The same way he did with the VA Choice Act of 2014. He's always said he finally, after 50 years, passed the VA Choice Act and accountability. You could fire people and all stuff. That was signed by Obama in 2014.
How
and
this man has solved 27 wars since
Right.
January 20. It's up to 27 wars he's solved since January 20. What he said 6? Then he said 7. Now it's 10 wars. 9
plus
of them
3
were games of
pre-wars.
risk with,
3
yeah,
pre-wars. Right. Yeah.
but
So
they were all games of Battleship with Stephen Miller that Miller let him win. So those are what he's talking about. But yeah,
Right.
it's like wars, sure.
So, well, I mean, it's like the Abraham Accords Part 2, which is I create a peace treaty between countries that aren't actively warring, that are basically just like business, commercial trade deals.
That's a trade deal that identifies as a peace agreement.
By the way, the only element is
agreement. He tore up a peace agreement with Iran, and now we're bombing Iran.
Right.
Tell me more about this anti-war Republican movement, please.
Yeah, well, and like even the ones like he's saying he stopped or that he created these deals for, that even the stuff like Armenia, Azerbaijan, or even the Abraham Accords, what really is our part in that at all? It's Bretton Woods naval protection for shipping between those countries, trade in amongst them. So ships going from Israel to Saudi Arabia before were or traveling across ground had to be covered by their own insurance and all that other stuff. Now they get the same shepherding back and forth, and because of that recognition of Saudi Arabia and these other countries, that other countries would get in the same strait. And that's what that was about. We're just providing security. We don't actually get anything out of that part of it, except Trump got to pat himself on the back, and later he'll get a building in fucking wherever, Mecca. He'll get build a hotel outside of Mecca.
Not there,
right?
No, I don't think there. But go on, yeah.
Well,
No.
I just think
Qatar.
Yeah.
Evil
Qatar,
family-owned
yeah.
corporation with a flag. Evil people.
That's which is what Qatar is. Right.
Prince Bonesaw will put up a statue somewhere. Whatever country Trump decides to live out his life that doesn't have an extradition treaty, because that's coming too.
Yeah. See, so I've had a theory for a while that one of the reasons why he's been sucking up to these authoritarians, or authoritarian-run countries, is because it's the only place he'll be able to build a building that it won't be torn down immediately after he steps down, or seized by the Justice Department and sold, or a target of terrorism. Like, you have to build it in a country where they cut people's hands off or throw them in a gulag for looking at the leader funny, or the building won't stay up, right?
Yeah. I mean, so you look. Either way, I don't know how it's going to end for this guy. It'll be some form of the last scene in Scarface, some version of that. But I will not be surprised if J.D. Vance is the incumbent in 2028.
Say hello
And
to
I'll be
my
delighted, by
myocardial
the way.
infarction. Like, that's what there was. I've seen a couple of things. Let's talk about that. Alex Jones saying he'll have a collapse in under 12 months. I think that's a conservative estimate. There was a couple of doctors that I've seen online going, if I was looking at this guy and he came into my office and we just had a talk, I hadn't run any tests at all, but I'm looking at his ankles, his bruises, his pallor, his language, his gait, how he can't, it's gibberish in the morning and slurry in the evening. They're all going 6-7 months tops.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about this. I don't want Trump to die. I've said this many times.
Yeah.
I want 3 ghosts to visit him on Christmas Eve and turn him into a good person. So I don't wish any suffering on him. But I think a lot about his funeral, and I talk a lot about his funeral, and I do a lot of material about his funeral. Because you gotta watch the future. You gotta stay alive, folks. Be healthy for because Melania's bringing a date, so you have to take care of yourself.
The funeral, right?
The funeral. That casket's gonna look like Liberace's piano. But I'll say this: I don't want him to die, but I'd love to see former President Biden attending his state funeral. I'd love to see Joe Biden right there with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, as heads of state must. Be there in the front row. In fact, we'll see Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama in the front row at the state funeral as well. And
it's going to be a giant fucking coffin, because they're going to have room for him and whatever Epstein files they didn't put in Ivana's coffin, right?
And they've got to have room for Stephen Miller, because he's going to demand to be buried with him like the pharaoh. So it's going to have to be really big,
right? Just so he can lay on top of him and wake up. It's like a Halloween decoration.
Lara Trump is going to beg to be buried with him, and Eric's going to try and talk her out. You're my wife.
Yeah,
Eric,
right.
Finish your puzzle. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be beautiful.
But my father.
Kim Jong Un. The pallbearer is going to be Kim Jong Un and Ron Jeremy.
Oh, yeah.
Not Eric Roberts. Frank Stallone's going to sing at his funeral. Hal, it's
absolutely
beautiful.
Three doors down, and that drummer, like metal guy with the flamethrowers from the original thing. They're gonna bring back the
Snoop
hits.
Dogg! Who knew? We're so glad you missed Snoop Dogg's here!
Posthumous
Oh,
AI video of Hulk
wow.
Hogan, like doing a eulogy and crying. Can you wait? Dude, there are going to be AI videos of like all the people who are meeting him in heaven, and it's going to be fucking Hulk Hogan and Herman Cain and like.
Yes, but then Gavin Newsom's people will post pictures of him embracing Hitler and Mussolini because Gavin Newsom will never stop running for president.
Yes, but I will say,
will be dead and he'll still be running for president.
Right. I think that whole that strategy has absolutely worked, and I feel like I have been heard. I have been heard.
I love it. He's reading the room, Hal. He's reading the room. He's not giving pedicures to Nazis anymore. He's reading. I thought he was going to pitch a reality show called Dancing with Fascists for a while. After the Charlie Kirk podcast, I was like, what happened to my Gavin Newsom I knew at Current TV? This guy's on it like a bonnet. And, I mean, J.B. Pritzker's going to crush him. Wes Moore's going to crush him. My new favorite sport is watching Democrats dunk on this fascist clown with tragic drag queen makeup.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Is it Vance? I feel like they've got this, this artificial dynasty illusion so much. And
it's Vance. It's Vance.
Yeah.
It's him. It's going to be him. They're stuck.
Yeah.
They are stuck with this guy.
Right.
And the reality is, and you know this, Mr. Sparks, there are certain Americans who show up to vote when Mr. Trump from the TV is on the ballot. There's folks who'll come down from the mountains, come out from the swamps, come in from the woods. But when Mr. Trump from the TV is not on that ballot in years like, 2018 or 2022, those folks don't come in from the mountains, the swamps, or the woods to do the voting thing.
Yeah.
These Republicans know it. They're panicking already. The prices are rising. Trump is getting worse, and that's why they're trying to cheat in Texas 15 months early. They're terrified. The only headline, the biggest headline about this racist redistricting in Texas is they're fucking scared in Texas this early. And that's why they're trying so hard to cheat and have the Texas chainsaw map massacre.
Right. Well, and I would argue that in most of the time redistricting doesn't help. It does not work. It is not it causes more problems long term than it solves, no matter who does it. Even if we do it.
But short term, Hal, it's all about short term. Look at Jim Jordan. It helped him.
I agree. But look at Chip Roy. Chip Roy, obviously there's the stuff about Trump running against him, and if he's going to run again and all that shit, fine. But Chip Roy is running for AG. He's ditching out. Now, why is he doing that? Because nobody fucking believes Austin, Texas is hard right. It's fucking Austin. Like Houston and Dallas have Democratic representation. Of course Austin would. It would be, Jesus Christ, they'd have legalized pot in Texas years ago if Austin hadn't been held by red, strongmen, essentially. When fucking Ted Cruz's assistant is your congressman because they've redistricted your area like Jim Jordan's, whose district looks like the dragon in the Dungeons and Dragons Atari game, the one that looked like a duck with a shrimp's tail. That's fucking Jordan's victim. The same thing is true of Chip Roy's. Now, if they redistrict that, it's going to go from being like this selected red that they had created to oddly purple, considering that area. That's the compensation they're gonna have to make. They're gonna eliminate as many locked-in seats as they can because they've run hard right people in what would effectively be a light red segment of the population.
That's right.
And they'll eat each other trying to get that job.
Yeah, well, they hate democracy as much as they hate the Jesus parts of the New Testament.
Yeah, and
they just hate it. It's because it's gonna help poor people and working people and brown people and immigrants. And this is white supremacy, and they can't come out and admit it. So again, these are the Christians who are a lot more offended by Colin Kaepernick's knee than Derek Chauvin's. And it's
Yeah.
always going to be about white supremacy, and they'll never be able to call it that because they don't believe they're white supremacists. They don't see that's other people in hoods. Okay, these are the people who just don't question the racist lies that the first black president's not really one of us. They don't question the lies that the Haitian migrants are eating pets. I mean, that's what racism is now. It's a big bowl of fucking stupid, and people who are just terrorized by fear. You don't have to have hate in your heart to be a corrosive racist. And that's what's driving all of this. White people will be a minority in 2045, and they know it, and they're freaking out, and there's a lot of guns, and that is what's driving all of this. It's not Christianity. They are allergic to the teachings and commandments of Jesus, and that's why I think the media is not going to call them out for their hypocrisy and their blasphemy. It's got to come from us. And atheists, it's a lot of fun as an atheist to call people out for blasphemy. I can tell you now.
Yes, it's very easy, I would argue, because you don't think you have any weight in it. But I would argue that atheists have more of a responsibility in how they do it than just to be wholly dismissive of anybody with spiritual or religious beliefs. Because again, that's letting Trump's team set the tone of the conversation.
Yes, that's letting all the bad Christian look. I mean, and you get it, right? You wouldn't like lump all Jews together. You know, a lot of liberals wouldn't lump all Muslims together, but there's so many poor Christian role models. And again, that's the fault of the media. The media is not going to put the Christians who are anti-war and anti-racism. The media is not going to put people like Dorothy Day on the air. They're going to put the douchebags because the media knows that the fundamentalists are villains, and villains make for better TV.
They're entertaining.
Whenever we're going to war, they never bring in the clergy to come and talk about why bombing a third world nation of brown people is against the teachings of Christ. They bring in the retired generals. I mean, it's all about white supremacy. They despise the Bible, but they hide behind it. And I just got tired of seeing my mom and dad's religion being used as a cloaking device for hate.
Here's where I will, especially in the last cycle, why I think there was a shift in the voting bloc that moved to Trump, and it was a bunch of Hispanic and black people and a group. And again, you can talk about the cultural anti-LGBT stuff that was in there. That's why they hammered the trans issue like crazy. It's also why they play up the pro-life aspect of like of Latino Catholics and the like. The idea that Democrats are bringing in Mexicans and South Americans to steal votes, when in reality, the vast majority of those people, if they came to the country and started voting, would be pro-life and ultimately against the woman's right to choose, is absurd.
These racist idiots. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. So, but the issue is that there is a class element in a shift in the immigration that has happened in the last decade, and that's when America shifted from a manufacturing and production economy to a middle management economy, which is where we create things. It's made someplace else. We put a sticker on it and sell it to somebody else. And in doing that, that's who a large number of the immigrants shifted to. That's why right now at the border, there aren't zero people crossing, but the people who are crossing the border are paying $20,000 to $30,000 per family member to get in. That's because they're coming here to do massive business, whether it's in the drug trade or actually working in like without a coding visa or that kind of stuff where the money shuffles home. Like, it is a different environment. They are farming people that are doing a different thing. And the people who got in, who managed to stay in through DACA and other things, are stiff arming the poor people that are coming across that are trying to escape what's going on in Venezuela or Mexico, even though they're those people, because of the caste colorism in South America. And they don't consider themselves white, but they consider themselves lighter than those people, right? Which is a wholly different thing. It's not white supremacy. It's class supremacy. Just go on a deep dive of like the South American colorism stuff. It's amazing. Like of course. But that said, these folks were marshaled into this. Were able to. They were defending the white supremacists that are around Donald Trump, because they have their own version of it, and it really, to them, is just indicative of, well, whites are the whitest of the white people. We're the whitest of our people. We're the lightest skinned of our group. We don't want Africans and Haitians coming over here because they may be lighter skinned than me, but we know from where they are that they're diseased and poor. And so we have this idea of us versus them, because we have allowed those people to set the tone. We have allowed them, we've ceded the argument to them, so we are arguing it on their jargon. Right.
And the media has participated in allowing them to set the tone. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why, you're exactly right.
John Fugelsang, great book. I'm very excited to get both the copy I paid for and the copy that I'm going to have you send me. I'm going to gift the one that I purchased to a listener, viewer. And I hope one day, if I can be in the same room as the author, maybe I can get him to sign it for me. It's a dream.
Oh, shucks, Mr. Sparks.
Right.
The book is on sale now. It's in stores on September 9th on 9/9. That's my tribute to the White Album and Herman Cain. But you can buy it now, Separation of Church and Hate, at your favorite local independent bookstore or your favorite non-evil website. But please buy a copy before it's banned in Florida, please.
or buy the special Banned in Florida edition. Thank you so much, brother. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Hal. I love you. It's nice to see you.
Love you too, brother. Big hug.
Say hi to Summer. See y'all later. Peace.
Yes.
Thanks,
okay.
Hal.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. John Fugelsang. And let me bring in Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. In 1 second, as soon as I can change the name on her, so people don't think she's John Fugelsang. She's a published author too. So I am. I have a very fucking fancy show today. I'm just saying. Hold on one second.
It's wicked smart. All the smart kids.
Yeah, it's good. There we go. And we'll bring you in. And ladies and gentlemen, here she is, Tara Dublin, who does indeed rock. Hi.
Hey, look at me. I'm on the screen. That's excellent.
I know. What a crazy notion.
No delays or nothing. People can see and hear me. I enjoy when that happens. For those of you,
I've been working.
What?
I've been trying. I'm fixing. You have any? Look, I want you. Can I show you something?
Yes, I have the idea. I'm aware.
No, I don't think.
You're the
I don't think you do.
Show business.
I don't think you do.
I do, and I do too. I do so infinity.
I don't think you
so.
understand
Don't sleep.
the necessity.
You do 4,000 shows a week.
The number of things that just under my desk with the thing with the God damn it.
Okay.
I even got all the cat dander. So I'm
now
fine.
I feel like I'm in. It's like exposition for Blade Runner is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
First of all, for people who haven't already pre-ordered John's book, I can't encourage you to do it harder because we had John on the Tara show a little while ago, and Tara and I are going to be back on John's show. We were on his show last week, and then we're going to be back on the 4th. But the greatest thing about John's book, aside from the fact that it's just brilliant and awesome and hilarious and amazing, keep it next to wherever it is that you do your social media work, because it's an excellent primer, and it helps you save time online. Yes. And here's how. Throughout the book, he has, and I've only read the PDF version. I'm awaiting my own physical version that I expect John to be sending me autographed, as I sent him a copy of The Sound of Settling. You know, when you get yours, you know, all of that goodness. But he has like parts of it are like set aside, like here's a list of questions that you could do in this situation, and here's what you could. I like gentle questions for MAGA people, you know, gentle, sure. Which is nice. It's like, if you don't hit them too aggressively, maybe they won't be aware that you're actually arguing with them. But
that's what humor's for.
Right? And you have to be smart to be funny. Smart people are funny. Stupid people are just bullies. So they can't be funny. Which is why they're freaking out about the Newsom stuff.
And if you find yourself using bullying language, check yourself and go, oh shit, I'm being stupid. Right.
Well, usually what I do, and I've always said that one of the best ways to fight MAGA is to use their own words against them, like co-opt whatever they're doing, like we did with Dark Brandon. And then they get mad about that. And they're like, that's immature. And it's like, is it? Okay, shut up. So anyway, my point being, one of the gentle questions from John's book that has saved me time and gotten me, has rid me of trolls. There's a question that he asks is beautiful. Because so many of these MAGA trolls have the cross next to their names. You know, it's like MAGA Patriot 1776, cross. Jesus lover, Jesus follower, Christian. So instead of asking them a million different questions, I just use one of John's gentle questions, which is, which of Donald Trump's attributes is the most Christ-like, in your opinion? And they never come back. Because Jesus and Trump, like John said, you can't follow both. because they don't share any attributes, except maybe they took male human form. So maybe, if that. So I like his book for that. I like it because it's practical. It's not, it doesn't ask you, his book doesn't say, here's what you should believe. His book says, here's how to arm yourself for hypocrisy. People come at you with hypocrisy. Here's a way for you to be like, well, but this, you know? And so that's an effective tactic. If you're someone who still is out there in the trenches, I'm just saying, it's there to help you. I'm just helping John sell a book is what I do.
I love that.
Because it's
I
excellent.
love that.
It's excellent, right? And we're all really super supportive of each other here in the Political Voices Network universe, the cavalcade of comedy geniuses that we are blessed with, who can, as someone said in the chat, I watched it go by pretty quickly, but listening to John calmed them. It calmed them, which is something that we have to take really seriously here, and that we have to present some optimism amidst the garbage fire. And one of the things that we can be optimistic about is that Trump is obviously not healthy. He's not healthy, and he's miserably unhappy, and he's physically uncomfortable. Physically uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
It's
Enjoy that.
really
Enjoy
telling.
that.
Yeah. It's
And
like,
the media is slowly like, what's up with your hand, Paw? What? The man is nearly, is he 80? He turned 80, right? Is he 80 or is he 79? I couldn't care
79,
less.
I think.
But anyway, he's 79. Why has no one ever told him how to blend his makeup? Blend. Buy him a beauty blender. As I wrote on my Substack, they do come in orange. So blend the MAGA no line away.
Here's the issue
blend
that he has.
your hand, Paw.
Here's the thing. We looked at this before.
Look at that. Why wouldn't you blend that?
Well,
that
I'll
says,
tell you why.
Look at me. That's a target.
I'll tell you why. Because you can't blend the amount of makeup necessary to hide the bruise is so thick. You have to do the whole hand.
Which they should have. There are makeup artists who know how to cover. They can cover tattoos. They can cover bruises.
Yeah.
They can cover things.
Totally. But you need a lot.
Look.
Maybe
if you use some Cetaphil to clean your
hands.
Right.
He's a cheap son of a bitch, and he won't. I guess he won't spring for it. But like that. Here's the case I have.
Wet and Wild. It's the wrong color. It hasn't. It's the wrong tone.
Here's what I make the case. This is a more damning indication of his mental decline than his physical decline. Because a bruise on the hand, you could, if you're clever and young and you're vibrant and you go, hey, I'm an old man, we bruise easier. Who gives a shit? Like that, you could literally attack it that way. Like, dude, nobody lives forever. I'm going to be around for another 2 decades. Old guys bruise like this all the time, especially because I play golf and I do shit and I'm moving around. Fuck. You know what they could do? If he was anything but a puffy schlub, they could show him working on a car or one of the golf courses. Like the president got under a golf cart and started like working on it. Just fucking fake it.
Mechanically inclined.
No, look at. I know it's absurd.
From a wrench.
I'm not saying it would convince us. I'm saying this would put Alex Jones would be applauding this, and they would ignore a giant bruise on his hand and go, seriously, it'd be like a fucking boss, and maggots all over the world would be banging the back of their hand on their fucking kitchen counter to have a matching fucking bruise. You know it. You know it.
Because they put the maxi pad on their heads. Why wouldn't they walk around with a sympathy bruise?
Right. I'm surprised they haven't slathered this cat vomit on his hand. But here's the thing. This is why I think it's more indicative of the mental failure, because you don't see your face all the time. So when he's orange, he looks in the mirror. You can tell he applies his own orange, because that's why he misses from here back, because he just goes, tss, I look great. He doesn't even bother to do that. Or like my dad does, like my dad, who's brilliant, who is an architect, anytime he builds a bathroom, it's got 3 mirrors and these 2 open inward. So you can get a whole
classic.
My mom loved it.
Gen X mirror.
My stepmom loved it. Oh, it's brilliant.
I love that.
Just great. And they go.
And I'm assuming there's a medicine cabinet behind the mirror.
Yes, behind all 3 of them, even though the front one opens. But I mean, genius, right?
I'm gonna have them whenever I'm rich enough to buy a house, let alone pay my rent. That's what I want in my master bathroom. Is retro.
It's not complicated. My dad hand makes them. but you can buy them and just arrange them that way, right? It's not a lot. That's what I'm saying. He definitely would have the money to do it. But here's the thing. The reason his face is orange like that and he doesn't blend is because he just goes, I look fabulous, and then leaves because he doesn't want to stare at his...
Why doesn't anyone tell him?
Because they don't
people
dare.
Who stand next to him all the time.
Why didn't Michael Jackson's attorneys tell him not to dress like a space general, like he's a toddler wearing his fucking Halloween costume to school the next day? Because you don't surround yourself with people who are critical and smart. He didn't have it like.
I'm so sorry. I forgot who we were talking about for 1 second.
But here's the thing.
But
it doesn't matter.
Love him so much.
No, wait. If it was a little bit, I would argue, why didn't somebody else tell him? If you got a bald spot and your bald spot's fucked up, you can't see that. You don't have eyes in the back of your head. Friends around you will tell you because they care about you. But it's not because you're deluded.
Right.
It's because you didn't see it. Whatever. That's fine.
Right. Or you have a seed in your teeth
and your
because
face.
You just ate a bagel. Your friend will tell you.
Unless you are like looking straight into a mirror, or you pass a side mirror that gives you an angle of another mirror right here, and you're like, oh shit, look, I didn't blend at all. Yeah. Like, unless you see that, you're like, you won't notice or whatever. And all Trump does is do that thing and leave. But you don't see your face again unless that circumstance happens. But your hands, you see all the time, especially the way he talks all the time. He literally does this all the time. There's no way he cannot see that himself.
No, that's why he's sitting at the desk with his hand over his other hand.
Right.
That's what first of all, he's hiding behind the desk as much as possible so we don't see the cankles.
Yeah.
So he's got double cankles. Then he's got the big ass bruise like in the shape of Bolivia on his hand. Mm-hmm. And there are times where he starts doing his accordion and he's like, oh no, people can see my hand. And then he does this again.
Yeah.
Everything he's doing is a tell, and he's surrounding himself with more and more people so that maybe they can be like, don't forget to cover your hand, Mr. President.
Right.
To make sure that they're like on him, around him, propping him up.
Right.
Making sure like they should no longer allow him to be photographed sitting without anything in front of him like that.
They aren't.
So he's broadcasting all of it. No more like this. No more. Well, first of all, if you're going to sit next to an internationally wanted war criminal, you know,
you should be choking the shit out of him.
At least. Show some respect for your daddy, Vladdy. So sit up straight. And daddy's here. Such an embarrassment. God damn it.
Oh, so fucking gross.
So embarrassing.
But so here's the thing.
So embarrassing. Like, again.
You got it. You can't not notice. You can't not notice. So don't bother.
Yellow on top of his orange hand.
It's bizarre. And again, like, I get that they cover stuff with makeup on, you know, I would argue they should have spray tanned Biden half the time because he didn't go to the beach nearly as much as he thought, and they always put sunscreen on him, so his pallor made people think he was older than he was, right? Also, vitamin D is good for you.
It's not healthy to have a tan, by the way. There's nothing sexy about melanoma. You're not supposed to. If you don't have melanin in your skin, you're not supposed to look like
everybody
you do.
has.
And if you want, you can. I mean, I'm saying, look, if I go out in the sun for 20 minutes, I'm gonna get a sunburn. Delicate little Tara. I slather myself with SPF, like the highest amounts of SPF, put on a hat like an old Jewish lady, and carry an umbrella. You're not supposed to court cancer. You're supposed to prevent it. And
but also, if you're indoors all the time if you're indoors all the time and you don't produce enough vitamin D, you are more apt to get like infections in your lungs and the like. Vitamin D is crucial, and we don't get enough of it because we spend too much time indoors. So but it's not quite the same thing.
Vitamin.
You produce your own, and you don't even need that much.
Spinach.
Right. You live in Portland. The sun doesn't even come out except when it's
out right now. Sinned. It's gonna be 100 degrees today. That's
right. So, but point is,
the better to set us on fire.
I'm from the same region he is. My family is Scottish and Irish and Viking, by and large. And so
basically burst into flame in the sun.
No, I don't. This is what happens when I hang out in the sun. Summer and I were in Florida for a week, and look at what color I am. I'm not wearing makeup.
This is what color I always am. I
know, because you don't go outside.
Or sickly.
Doesn't matter. Here's the thing.
Girl.
The point I'm trying to make is that he goes out and golfs and all this kind of stuff. But Biden, arguably, his pallor made people thought he was older. You're younger. You're spry. You're loud. You don't have like an aging voice in that regard. So that's one of the things you can make up for it. Now I think they could have spray painted him and gone, hey, Mr. President, we're gonna have you go into a UV3 tanning bed because you need vitamin D and you don't get outside and you don't golf and do stuff. You're not out there as much, and even when you do, you're surrounded by everybody and there's a tent over you and drones and blah blah blah. So nobody can see you from the sky. It's nuts.
Put his cool aviators on so
yes.
he gets that.
They could have done it. But Trump himself, ironically enough, golfs 2 days in a row, needs a day off. If he golfs Friday, Saturday, he needs Sunday off, and then he can come in on Monday. If he doesn't, every time he goes out Saturday, Sunday, he takes Monday off. He's just not there. And this thing, like, they'll get him to come in and sign something, and then he splits. That's it for the day, right? Okay.
He doesn't work.
No. But this, what I'm saying is that I'm the same, like, color that he could be if he got normal sun, right? That kind of thing. And he goes out a lot,
Right.
I don't know what the fuck color that is. I don't know what that's.
I would call that is your
cat puke.
That is a basic foundation. Whenever he sent the people to Hobby Lobby to buy the tacky gold paint. Run next door to CVS and get a bottle of Wet and Wild. Their foundations are like
$2. The makeup he wears is called White as I Wanna Be. That's what it's called. It's called White as I Wanna Be.
That's right. But like when it comes to his hands, he thinks no one's looking at his hands, which is what people look at all the time because they make fun of how small they are. And so, but when whoever was dispatched to go get the foundation from the CVS next door. He was also, whenever they were picking up his adult diapers, they swung by the makeup counter or display, grabbed the least expensive, didn't look at the tone, because what does that matter? It's going on his hand. And now he's out and about. And the reason he's not covering it at the golf course is because he doesn't think anyone's going to see his hands there. He doesn't put on his face makeup when he goes out to golf either.
I think it's the same color as Caroline Leavitt's base. And I think they have a makeup kit for her every day. And I think he just went in there himself and went like that. Yeah. So here's the other thing.
That also could be true.
It's her color. He's wearing her color. Secondly, this is his other hand. So this just came out, I guess, yesterday, late in the last night.
Both of them, huh?
Yeah. So both hands are bruised like this.
Because repeated use of a port in a hand, and he's got the vein issue, so his veins are collapsing. It happens. Like if you get, and I think we've talked about this before, and we've also talked about this on the Tara show. You get a port in your hand so that they can continue to administer your meds if you're going through a long-term treatment, so that you don't always have to keep poking around looking for veins. You're like, oh, I have a port, but he can't walk around with a port, so they have to keep taking it out and putting it back in and taking it. And rag makes for repeated bruising, and the bruising will spread. And eventually you can't keep going back to the same veins. Anybody who's ever, IV drug users, it happens to them. And anybody who, if you're going to abuse your venal system, eventually it's going to poop out. Right. And eventually they're going to be, trying to put his medicine between his toes. So, because that's all the veins he's going to have left. So that's what we're saying. If it's both hands, I mean, like he is collapsing right in front of us. He's been molting for a while and sundowning. And that I would love, like, whenever they have the next press briefing, the questions to be, what's up with his hand? Why did he have that big splob of makeup on his hand? What's going on? What are you not telling us? And also, by the way, what was that bullshit thing that you released on Friday, that edited interview with his fellow sex trafficking, lying, rapist, pedophile, who was just like, I don't think I ever saw.
He was such a gentleman. Oh, yes. He was such a gentleman.
He was a perfect gentleman to me. He never bent me over and raped me. So he never held me down. He never pushed me up against a wall. He never shoved his tiny fingers in my vagina. So, I don't know if he ever did that. I mean, fuck you. Yeah. But look at this. Everything he does, everything he has ever done is broadcasting exactly what he's doing. He has no game. Right? He's not clever. Right. He can't hide it. He's always broadcasting, and like you're showing, cover one boo-boo with the other boo-boo. You know,
The
it's
irony,
like he's trying to do 3-card Monty
he's
with
like,
2 hands.
This might be the first situation where we have an old man die of, death by Streisand effect. That literally,
Fine with
by
me.
by drawing attention to something that's sort of a naturally occurring element of age and being afraid of it, covering it up so hard that they have to actually do something less than optimal to make it happen again. He ends up with both, like, venous problems on both of his hands, where he's going to end up on a fucking IV. I guarantee this motherfucker's on a hydration IV every day, every other day, minimum.
We have a couple of I've seen a lot of tweets now from people who are nurses or other medical professionals who say that he could be in the end stages of congestive heart failure or liver failure. And I would lean in more towards maybe the liver failure, and I'll tell you why. Because his abuse of Diet Coke throughout the years, that's I mean, the first ingredient on a can of Diet Coke is water. The rest of it is chemical. That is he is who knows how much he's putting into his body every single day. There's you can't measure it. There was a time in my life, and again, he's a very large person. I'm not a very large person, but there was a time in my life where I would drink 6 to 8 cans of Diet Coke a day, and I called it the nectar of the gods, and I loved it so much. And then I had a medical thing with my heart that had nothing to do with Diet Coke, but I had to get an ablation. And when I was getting scanned, they said, you have a mass on your liver. And I was like, holy fucking shit. And they were like, do you take a lot of a lot of acetaminophen? I was like, no. And they were like, do you do this? Do you know? Do you drink a lot of soda? And diet soda. And I said, yeah. And they're like, well, they have linked aspartame to liver disease. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I stopped drinking Diet Coke. Not only did I immediately lose 15 pounds, but my mass on my liver went away. So it is very possible that it could be heart, but I'm thinking it's more liver because he abuses his liver like that. And he also takes a lot of drugs. And so it could be a combination, but the fact that like John was saying, like 40% of his body is like sodium or whatever. I would say it's even more than 40%. His diet is terrible. He eats burnt steak, so that's extra carcinogens in his system, especially if you're grilling. If you're grilling, that you're willingly putting carcinogens in your body because you're grilling over gasoline or coal or charcoal or whatever. Bad. Grilling meat is bad. It's bad for your body. It's bad for the environment. It's bad. So he's eating that. If he's not eating that, he's eating something that was in a bag wrapped in a piece of paper and handed to somebody through a window. Something that was deep fried.
He's not eating. Okay. So first of all, no.
I'm just saying. Grilling. Not a healthy man. Not a healthy man.
The unhealthy aspect of grilling has been highly overstated over the years, and the direct use of salt in foods highly overrated. Highly vilified in food. Like, high salt content isn't the problem. It's high sodium content, which is not the same thing. Sodium chloride and sodium are not the same thing. And the breakdown in the processing of food creates a higher level of sodium that's in there than sodium chloride, the actual table salt, what you actually put in table salt. And your body has a way of getting rid of excess salt by retaining water and then pissing it out. But sodium is a version of it where your body treats it like salt but can't piss it away. So it builds up in your tissue and causes inflammation, and that's what Trump has. That is the difference between a burger you grill yourself and one you get from McDonald's. There's way more sodium in that situation, and Trump doesn't.
Yes.
Trump is not even the steaks he gets, they're well done and they've got ketchup all over them, which means he only eats steaks in places where they're supposed to be at a fancy dinner and he only eats it slathered in ketchup because the rest of the time he eats fast food. The only fish he eats is the water. No, he doesn't.
The fish delight. Fish delight.
That's right.
He doesn't drink water. And so when he washes down sodium with more sodium, because there's a lot of sodium in Diet Coke.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't eat anything that was picked from the ground or fell from a tree, but you make fried potatoes. That's the closest he gets to eating vegetables. The buns from McDonald's are processed. That's processed white,
Yep.
probably has high fructose corn syrup in their bun. Nothing he eats is healthy. You know, there's no such thing as balance with Trump.
No.
There's nothing balanced about anything.
And I
his
would
life.
argue
So
it is
it's
it is
liver,
worse.
it's heart, it's veins, it's stress.
Yeah.
He doesn't sleep. He abuses Adderall. So he's a walking time bomb and always has been. The question is, when does he go off? And then why do we have to be stuck with J.D. Vance after that? Because we shouldn't be. One of the other things that's going on at the same time as all of this is going on is more and more evidence being introduced into the world that Kamala Harris is our rightful 47th president, because it's statistically impossible to win all 7 swing states on election night. And I asked Grok. But also people who are actual real math people and statisticians are continuing. This will hold on Substack is a great one to follow because they keep putting out more and more evidence that the election was rigged. The election was rigged by Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and they kept confessing even up to and including the night before the inauguration. Democrats were like, but we're not election deniers, so we're just going to take it. Statistically impossible. Less than a 1% chance of a presidential candidate winning all 7 swing states on election night. And you and I were on the air together when he started racking up some wins, and I'm like, this is too fast.
Yeah.
This is too fast. This is too soon. This is very sus. When we learned that Joe and Kamala won in 2020, it was not election night. We did not know until Saturday of that week that they won. So, and that was because we were in it was 2020. We were in the middle of the pandemic, and we had to use hand-marked paper ballots, which is why Trump wants to get rid of them, because the fuckery we're living with now is what the fuckery would have had been in 2020 if millions of people didn't die in red states, because more people died in red states, and then we had a vote by mail. That's why he wants to get rid of vote by mail, so he can hack the next election in 2026, because that's the only reason he lost in 2020. And that's also why Russia...
And he doesn't have Musk anymore. That's why they need the seats in Texas. So, because Musk isn't going to help him.
I have the screenshot too, Kerosene Kara. Elon admitted on the same day that Trump would never have won the election without him, and Trump is all over the Epstein files. That day was June 5th. So I have the screenshots. They're going to live on my phone until they don't have to. And these are all things that need to be discussed the second Congress comes back from the longest recess in history. And I don't know if you saw how, and I hope some of the sparklers did, but I had my Senator Ron Wyden on the Tara show last Thursday. My Senator Ron Wyden from here in Oregon is the ranking Democratic member of the Senate Finance Committee. And he has been investigating the Epstein sex trafficking ring and the ties to Russia. And following the money is the best way to bring them down, because you can talk about the pedophile stuff. We can talk about that endlessly because it's real and it's true. And Virginia Giuffre's memoir is going to come out because as part of her will, she wanted her memoir to be released upon event of her death so she could tell the truth about Epstein. And also Epstein survivors are holding a press conference on September 3rd. And this is not going away. Right. It is also my pinned post on my Blue Sky and my Twitter and all my other social media accounts. Ron Wyden told us things about the Epstein investigation that no other mainstream media has touched, has said, has mentioned, has even spoken of, because they're so busy focusing on whatever Trump will distract them with, right? And so one of the things that we learned early on, like we were supposed to have 15 minutes and we got like 22 minutes with him. One of the things that we learned early on is that the Treasury Department has its own set of Epstein files, aside from whatever else is out there in the world. Strangely, Scott Bessent, not really willing to hang out with Ron Wyden to talk, is ignoring all of Ron Wyden's letters and attempts to get those. Republicans and Democrats on the Senate Finance Committee were allowed to look at some of those files during the Biden administration, but not until January 2024, because those files were sealed. And that's why why didn't Biden release the Epstein files? Because they were sealed until they were unsealed by Ron DeSantis, by the way, in Florida. So we learned that there are still Epstein henchmen who are alive and well and walking around free, who can be subpoenaed, and who can speak to all of the lies that Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche.
And all the women that worked with him as well, who were like the next Ghislaine in the Pez dispenser of awful. that he had.
Correct. They were grooming and never stopped grooming, never stopped raping and sex trafficking. One of the things that Ron Wyden found were 4,725 wire transfers between Epstein and Russian banks. Weird. Only one of those wire transfers was $1.1 billion. So how many billions are being put out into the world between Epstein
Apparently,
and the Russian bank, and they're laundering this money in an international sex trafficking ring, and Trump is
in all
absolutely
fairness,
directly involved.
Inflation is a bitch, and $1.1 billion is now the going price for faking your death and being evacuated by a fake ambulance under the cover of payoffs and killed witnesses. So it's expensive. It used to be in the 70s you could do it for 25 million all in. In the
Those were the
G. Gordon
days.
Liddy days, it might have cost you 75 mil, but now it's $1.1 billion because that's inflation for you. I
And
brought
it's
up
crazy.
Yeah.
The things that he found are insane. Okay, that the media is not reporting on. I
Right.
haven't heard one member of the mainstream media say out loud 4,725 wire transfers. None of them are talking about that. None of
Right.
them say that there are still henchmen out there willing to testify as soon as the Senate Finance Committee subpoenas them. No one's talking about that. I'm trying to get that clip of ours to go viral so that more people are aware that it is beyond what people are aware of. It's beyond that. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of documents that people don't even know about. And all that bullshit that the Republicans released on Friday was stuff that was already out in the public domain, that Democrats were already aware of and had seen. So there was nothing new on Friday. The only thing
Right.
that was new was that edited interview with a monster who victims described as being worse than Trump and Epstein. So, if you're quoting a sex trafficking rapist to get your sex trafficking rapist off the hook, maybe you're not doing the right thing. I don't know. I'm just
Perhaps.
suggesting that.
I brought up on my Substack a couple of notes that I had. 'Cause
This was
I knew
excellent, by the way. Everybody read
everybody-
this. Everybody
yeah.
read this one. I shared it.
Thank you. I dove into a bunch of it, and then I did a big word search of stuff, and then went through and read the little chunks of it, and I was immediately struck by a situation where in court you would say, "Objection, Your Honor," leading the witness. This is where you bring in a corroborating or an alibi witness for your client, and then the lawyer, instead of asking open, direct questions, asks leading questions to kind of make sure they use the right language, and has coached them to make sure that they say words like inappropriate. I never saw him do anything inappropriate. Well, what the fuck would be inappropriate if you're on a plane called the Lolita Express? It would be certainly inappropriate to the rest of the world, but totally appropriate within the confines of that. It's inappropriate to eat fellow human beings. In a cannibal tribe, though, it would be completely appropriate to the circumstance to
Or
eat
in the
person.
movie Alive.
Right. Yes.
Or if you crashed into
then
the Andes.
and then this whole thing about, did you ever observe any sex on the plane?
No, I
I'm like,
participated.
right. Even a voyeur, even somebody who is diddying themselves over in the corner is not observing.
That's participating.
That's
No, you're
participating. Right. They know you're there.
What this
They know
is-
why you're there. They know you're bringing in lube and like that. That's not observing. That's a
Right.
participant.
Nope.
And that word
Nope.
is
You
crucial.
participated. You stole girls and you put them on
Right.
these planes. You put them in rooms with these men.
And then
you didn't
specifically,
observe. You participated.
as I wrote here, and
follow-
crucially,
he didn't ask
he
any
never
follow-up
asked.
questions. This is
No,
an
and he did
embarrassment.
not ask
Yeah.
about Palm Beach, Little St. Just the fucking plane. Are you
Nope.
shitting me? Also, how about
this-
were you ever with Jeffrey Epstein at Trump's fucking apartment? Mar-a-Lago has sleeping
And she
quarters, you
said-
dumb motherfuckers. He lives there
right.
part of the time. He's got other apartments he gives to other people when they're hanging out. How about this? Did Epstein ever fuck anybody at Mar-a-Lago? How about that question? She would plead the fifth. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, no, he didn't ask the right questions. Of course he didn't, because he went in there to throw softballs at her. What this is, it's two things. First of all, it's an exercise in MAGA semantics. They
Yeah.
love to use semantics
Sure.
as the stupidest people want to parse language, which is ridiculous because they don't know what words mean. So, but they'll say, like you'll say Trump is a convicted felon, and they'll say, well, it was a jury trial, but that doesn't mean he's guilty. What? Yes, it does, because he was found guilty. Well, it was and then they'll play with language, and they'll say that E. Jean wasn't raped, she was assaulted, or whatever. They'll split the hairs and split the hairs.
That makes it better.
Get distracted by the language.
Let him do what he
rather
did to
than
E.
the
Jean
act.
Carroll to your daughter, and then tell me it's well, he didn't rape her, he just assaulted her. Fuck off.
Right, he just put his fingers in her vagina.
Jesus.
And
came on her
dick
dress.
is so small she didn't know it. Right, his dick is so small that she didn't know if it was his dick or his finger. Okay. The other thing that this interview was, which was edited before it was released, so we don't know what was removed because this is a conspiracy and a cover-up. An edited transcript that was released by them, the good parts version of this edited. This is all they could scrape from the Epstein files for red meat to throw to MAGA to keep them on the hook. This is all they could do. They cannot give them any more hope to cling to. They gave it all on Friday. Because what's coming next is the shit that's really bad. It's the shit that my senator is investigating. It's the shit that is in the Treasury Department that Scott Bessent is hiding, because what he did, what was allowed during the Biden administration, and I encourage everybody to watch our entire 22-minute interview, which is a standalone thing available on Political Voices Network Substack. And the YouTube. And if you have the ability to pull up my Blue Sky, just that one clip that we did that Devlin pulled, it's just that minute, or it's like a minute and 12, and he's like, this is what we always say to Pam Bondi. Show us. This is this. He's saying things that the mainstream media doesn't even share. And that's why it needs to go viral. Just like the testimony, the victim testimony that I read of Katie Johnson's never went. They're not reporting on it accurately, but Democrats will. So what I keep telling people, because people are like, oh, Epstein won't matter. It won't matter. Yes, it will. It's continuing to matter. He said again on Friday, oh, it's a hoax. How can you say it's a hoax when they just released a whole bunch of shit?
Right.
It's not a hoax. It's real. How many times is MAGA going to let him lie to them about just the Epstein files?
Oh, they're not.
And that's like one of my counter arguments.
I gotta say,
besides the Christ-like stuff.
I think
how many times do you want to be lied to?
Well, see, I think there's less attachment to the Christ-like stuff because there's a lot of wiggle room, like I said, that comes from the whole Judeo-Christian concept, the Old Testament and New Testament. You can pick and choose like it's a Whitman sampler instead of recognizing that there are elements of the New Testament that are a complete contradiction to the first. So that was, a crucial part of the conversation that I think people leave out conveniently for themselves so that they can hate gays and pretend to be Christians. That's what John and I were kind of talking about in the first part. But in terms of the Trump crowd, I think that's abstract for them still. It's spiritual and like, that's something for Sunday, and I don't know, my preacher, blah, blah, blah. Like, they can put that somewhere. But there is something about the Epstein files and the victimization of children and their fixation, this 8 to 10% of Trumpies that are dyed-in-the-wool QAnons. And you could argue that to some degree, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of those people. That's how she got elected. She was absolutely a QAnon Karen when she came, on Facebook. Yep, and that's how she got that place. And the idea that she softened on it is bullshit. Just an attempt at re-election. That's all that was. Because she absolutely still believes the earth is flat and that, Hillary Clinton sticks a straw in a newborn's head and walks around at a party watching spirit cooking, sucking baby juice. Right.
That would be Stephen Miller who does that. He loves to drink the blood of fresh babies.
Right. Well, I guess that would be the great distraction because everything's a confession. Yeah. But
everything.
But this is different, right? It is different for them. It's hard for them to let it go the way they've let go their religion, like financial and economic stuff. They can pretend, hey, we're at war. They can picture themselves like, Rosie the Riveter, right? Working hard to, this is going to be tough because we're trying to get rid of the deep state in the swamp. They can be bullshitted about all that stuff. But this part should be easy. He's not part of the cabal. He should be able to kill the cabal. He's got the FBI, the army, everybody, the CIA. They're now run by his people. He should be able to round these fuckers up and throw them into a chipper shredder and spray the remains into Guantanamo, where patriots piss on them before they're turned into fertilizer. That, to them, seems self-evident and worthwhile because children. They did that Sound of Fury movie or whatever it was.
But they don't care about children.
They do.
Because they don't vote to ban assault weapons, and they don't vote
that's
to protect
abstract.
children. They vote
That's
to
abstract because they think they're going to save a kid with an assault weapon. I know, but they think, you got to understand, you think like you, and you insist on thinking like you.
Food benefits. I know, but how does cutting starving
because that's
children,
about the parents.
Starving children.
They think the parents are being lazy and will work harder or fill it in, and that they need to go to church where they'll be given food. That's honest to God. There's always an out.
That's not what the church does.
Well, I know that, and you know that. That's not the point I'm trying to make.
Stupid.
I'm not arguing logically. I'm trying to explain to you how they think and how this will get through to them in a way that the other stuff you're mentioning doesn't, because they think if you take guns away, I won't have a gun when I need to defend the children. That's how they think. They're going to pocket it. I know, but no, it's not never. There are self-defense uses of guns all the fucking time in the country, and they exist because there are too many fucking guns in the country. You wouldn't have those situations. The best day of a gun's life is the worst of yours. It is a single-use tool. The gun is always and will ever be the lesser of two evils. That's all it's for when it is used. But the rest of the time, it's its own problem. It's a self-perpetuating problem. They'll never grasp that. So that's not the point. And we've got to find a way that we can articulate to them. If we drive down the number of guns, maybe if you have to get a license and a concealed carry permit, and there are rules about it, then maybe you will be the hero in that moment, and you won't be outgunned by a cartel who could just slip guns through a straw purchase in the parking lot of a fucking El Paso gun shop, right? So maybe that conversation is there. But there is something about their victimizing children that is hard to bullshit your way out of through love of Trump. And that's why it's sticking. It's got fish hooks. And that's the part I think Trump was thinking wasn't going to be the case. I think he thought it was going to be like every other thing where I'll just bullshit these people and tell them.
And it'll go away, but it's not going away.
Nope.
I have a question. There's a gentleman in your chat named Rick Sanchez who loves Trump, loves him. And so
I disagree. I don't think he does.
Well, I don't know if he's real or not, but he's like saying, unlike he's talking shit about Democrats and he's praising Trump. So my question would be to someone like that, because I don't often have the opportunity. I don't feel I get real results on social media, but this is a person who is saying that they're a real person and they're in your chat right now. Mm-hmm. Rick, how many times are you going to let Donald Trump tell you different stories about the Epstein files? You want to believe anything else. I don't care. Yeah, and I want to ask you, Rick Sanchez in the chat, Donald Trump has lied about the Epstein files constantly. Just the Epstein files. Constantly made up. He makes it up on the fly over and over.
Yeah.
They're a hoax. They're on her desk.
Even fucked Glenn Beck out of his favorite defense, right? Even fucked Glenn Beck out of his favorite defense, right?
Okay, so there are all of these different lies. He said it was a hoax again, even though they're real. Rick, why do you let Donald Trump continue to lie to you? Mm-hmm. That's my question. If we found out
about Epstein.
Well, look, right, just about Epstein. So when we found out Michael Avenatti was a great big liar, we were like, bye, mm-hmm. You're done. When we found out John
Bill Clinton
Edwards
participated in shit with Jeffrey Epstein and was victimizing his folks. I'll go even further. Even if they were over the age of 18, Jeffrey Epstein was cultivating rapists. He was a rapist cultivating victims. He was taking underage girls and basically training, manipulating, and blackmailing them into service. And even if they turned 18, he still got all this shit on them where it's hard for them to escape. He kept their passports on the island. Okay. One girl tried to swim for her life. So if you hang out with a dude like that, he's engaged in it. Fuck you.
Fuck you. And Rick's response to my question is keep crying, which is a typical MAGA response because they do not have an answer when you confront them and ask them for a real response. They don't have truth on their
Well,
side.
no,
They
I
don't have facts
okay,
on their
let's
side. What they
I
have
get
is
it.
juvenile
All
bullying
right, well then
and an empty response. So then I'm done because Rick's not going to give me a real answer. So
well, no,
I'm
it's not
done.
even it's not even about whether Rick's going to give you a real answer or not. Rick can't actually deal with a real answer at all. He's not capable of it because
No.
he doesn't actually care about the
No.
children that Epstein victimized. That's why he's willing.
No.
We do because we're willing to jettison any Democrat who
Doesn't
was
care
part of
about
that.
the truth.
Don't care. Don't care.
Doesn't
So-
care about our democracy.
Right? No,
That
and I
performative bullshit with the flag today, fuck
Right.
you. You know, you don't get, no. It's like all of that cult bullshit.
Right.
I'm so done with
So
it.
the-
But of
yeah.
all the things you're lied to over and over and over again, and this is like talking to a tweet, because you can give them the information, you can tell them where the facts are, the do your own research crowd, they don't care. They
Okay.
do
Well,
not
here
care,
I'll just
and
go.
you're not gonna
Here's
change
the
their
thing.
mind.
I'll go one further in this, and this is the question that I brought up when any of the maggots would show up at the marches that we did, which was I would always ask
Right.
them how long it would have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey
great
Epstein was
question.
a pedophile, and they all say
Okay, Rick.
immediately. I know in 5 fucking minutes.
Immediately.
So explain to me how you could be friends with Jeffrey Epstein for a quarter century, 25 years. Donald Trump hung with this dude all the time. They were regular guests. They flew together multiple times as friends, not where Epstein's flying like charity organization someplace. They literally used each other's planes as a short bus back and forth from West Palm Beach to New York and all that stuff. How long would it have taken you to figure out that Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile? And my argument was
Instantly, and they're all like instantly.
they all go instantly. Right. Yeah. Here's the
right.
thing. If you're friends with him and hung around him as much as Donald Trump did, there are only 2 possibilities. One, you are, well, maybe 3. One, you're the worst judge of character in the fucking world. You have no idea if an evil monster is sitting across from you, you will think that they're awesome if they just say the right thing to you, which is a terrible person to put in a position of negotiating for the United States with Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, and it's why he can't do it. But then secondly, you'd have to be like, you're a great judge of character. You know exactly what he is. But whatever you're getting from hanging out with him, hobnobbing with other rich people, meeting people, business connections, it's worth it to look the other way when he's victimizing children because of what you get out of it. You can argue which is the worst trait in the end. And then the third one is you're a willing, active participant in it, and you think it's fucking cool that you're Joel Greenberg to his Matt Gaetz.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
These
and
are
you have
the
this
only
wonderful secret.
5 years, 3
May
years,
every day be
7
another
years,
wonderful
meeting them
secret.
occasionally, him loaning the plane to your organization. You might have some wiggle room to talk about this, but this is a personal relationship that was 25 years in the making.
Right. That's right. That's right. And it's,
there is only
regardless of the,
right.
No, go ahead. I mean, Rick Sanchez, if you don't like the truth, it doesn't make it any less true. Like you don't have to love it. And you don't have to believe.
Also,
I mean, they don't.
This might be new to him too.
It's a cult
Is
of
that we welcome
personality. It's not
the trolls in our chat room because it doesn't freak my chat room out at all. We've learned how to deal with these fuckers over
and
the
I'm
years.
not freaked out either. And I'll tell you something else.
So we don't bounce anybody. We don't bounce anybody unless they use racial epithets or violent language. So we don't care,
right?
Because that's what democracy is.
Right.
That's what
But
makes us Democrats. Is that we actually want people to have their say so that we can argue with it, and the best argument will win, in which we clearly are. So there you go.
Fabulous. And I love having the truth on our side because we have statistics and we have real stuff.
And I welcome all kinds of weirdos in here, including Rick, who is clearly a communist.
Sure, I mean,
and look, I don't like communism, but if he, but if he's a commie Trump supporter,
aren't they?
He can flap all he
they're
wants.
They're communists now because it's okay for the United States to buy intel.
Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay.
15% fucking say.
Hey, Rick,
that
that's
is
communism.
Yeah, I would argue that is that would have been the end of any Republican president, before, like, just on principle, from the Ayn Rand crowd, the independents, the libertarians, the fiscal conservatives, the idea. Remember that all that shit about Obama picking and winners and losers because they were going to use grants to support renewables, and then Rick and his maggot buddies are all fine with
Right.
buying a stake in a U.S. company. What is this, fucking Russia? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, see,
How does that
no, we
work?
don't do that. And so, but also, I mean, if you think about just like your basic, who are you supposed to be admiring? Who's your leader? Who's someone to
Right.
look up to? Who's someone's going to unify you? And someone who projects strength and dignity and, you know, pride in the country and all of that, not
Yeah.
calling us a shithole country or insulting, bullying. Our government isn't supposed to threaten us, scare us, take anything from us except our taxes, which are then put back into programs that keep our country going along as it should. Our
Right.
government isn't supposed to send the
And uphold
military
our
into our
ethical
cities because
standards,
they
which
don't
are
want us
allegedly
talking about the
based
Epstein files.
on Judeo-Christian
And
values.
here's another thing. Here's another thing for Rick and his ilk who believe that Donald Trump is this brave, awesome, strong leader. Donald Trump blocked me on Twitter 10 years ago, and it's this week. This Thursday is my 10-year anniversary of being blocked
right.
by Trump.
I'm going to be on your
And
show
it's
for
not
it.
just being, yes, you are. And we're going to celebrate. I was going to get a cake with like the block printed out on it and eat it live, but that's like $150 to do that. Rent is due, my friend. So, you know, I mean, I don't know exactly what we'll do, but we're definitely going to talk about that. But the point being, he's a fucking coward. Look at me, Rick. I'm 5 feet tall. I weigh 106 right now. This is what he's afraid of. This little lady on Twitter. And I'll tell you something else, Rick. He was told after he was inaugurated by his own DOJ, he was brought a list that they put in front of him on the empty Resolute desk and said, you have to unblock all of these people. And you can't FOIA request the White House, but I love to imagine that list in front of him. And he's like, fine. Sitting there with his phone, like, fine. Fuck. And then he sees my name. He's like, no, not that one. Not that one. So it's like me and Danny Zucker and Parker Malloy and at Kim. I think there's like a handful of us who are still blocked by Trump. Then there's an even smaller segment. I don't know how many of us there are, but I have, thank you so much, Laura. I have the quadfecta, which is Trump, Jr., Eric, and Ivanka. I got all four of those as well.
Can I just
My
say, since we're picking out elements of the chat,
basic cowardice.
Agreed. Let me pick out something in the chat that I get to talk about. Is ME in the chat? Burning our flag should earn you jail time. I don't. There are a few things I hate more than people desecrating the flag by saying that if you burn it, you should get jail time. My flag, as an American, represents freedom. Even freedom I'm uncomfortable with. As long as no one is physically harmed in the circumstance, you're fine. And so burning a flag, if it's your property, you can burn whatever the fuck you want. And it lowers the value of the flag if you pass a law saying you can't burn it, because it means it's for less freedom than it was yesterday. It's dumb. And again, this goes to why I would argue, and this maybe kind of crisscrosses into what we talked about during John's segment, but I think personally, that if these assholes churches actually did their fucking job, they wouldn't need to teach God in schools. That the only reason they want God taught in schools is because nobody goes to the church anymore, because they've turned them into these political, stumps for people like Donald Trump, to a land of posers, frauds, and pious bullshitters, instead of what it should be. Because I didn't need more than one day of church a week to understand the principles in that. And I went twice. We did Wednesday night and we did Sunday morning, okay? In Peeks Mill, Kentucky, at Peeks Mill Christian Church, my entire fucking upbringing. And I got to tell you, the destruction of a cross or the burning of a Bible or whatever doesn't diminish it at all. It's your attitude towards it. And all that means is you think it has weight, because you got to do something to it to go against that weight. And this goes to anything that you're striking against, you also give power, is the theory. That's why people you shouldn't talk about Trump, you should talk about what you're for. And I have made the argument that our plan going forward as Democrats should be to, at every turn, beat our chest about the good things we've done. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, the number of lives saved by that kind of thing.
Democratic press secretary.
Right.
We need a Democratic press secretary to have a press briefing every single day.
Well, until we have that, and I don't know why we still don't. I know that. But again, this is outsourcing. Until that happens, we should argue for it, I agree. But in the interim, we should just do it ourselves. So
That's what
I
we
started
do.
I started a project last week where on Friday where we're gonna watch the top 5 humanoid robots that are coming out next year that are in the $20,000 range, and we're gonna gift one to Project Angel Food. We're gonna whatever one is the best in the 20,000 to 30,000 range or lower. We're gonna gift that to Project Angel Food to be a nonstop 24-hour worker to clean the kitchen and do prep and that kind of stuff or whatever. That's a project where I think we can take the advances in the current situation that we're in and benefit the rest of the world. Take what's actually happening and currently happening. And I would argue that had we touted the programs that we've created, SNAP, S-chip, those kind of things, instead of letting people vilify Hillary Clinton for pushing those things, because understand, the Republican Party put a target on her back the day she started working towards S-chip. That's what it was. SNAP and S-chip, even though SNAP has been a wonderful thing, not just for like the people it affects, but like the agricultural industry, it gives them a place to put their leftover food that can't survive being shipped overseas. And it's the government cheesing of all kinds of stuff, and it gave all these foodstuffs to kids all across the country, right? And it saved lives. But because we were too busy going, it hasn't solved everything yet. Until we haven't and because it didn't solve all the problems of the world or all hunger in the United States, people felt diminished in defending it, and we got to stop that. Every progress is every step. There's, how that stupid fucking phrase on the History Channel, history is made every day, well, is bullshit. The past is made every day, whether it's history or not is another conversation. But progress is made with every step. Every step forward matters. Matters. And anybody who tells you that's not enough is not part of the conversation about progress. We know, you dumb motherfucker. We're trying to solve a problem in front of us and then solve the next problem past it. And if you want to stop whatever progress we're making because you think there's going to be this pie in the sky utopian fix right around the fucking corner, then just join the techno-eugenics movement of Peter Thiel, who thinks we don't have to save everybody. Not everybody's going to live anyways, and we're going to all transfer our minds into fucking robot whatever and launch them into fucking space. It's right around the corner. Like, whatever, dead man. It's dumb.
No, come on. No, that's not. I don't want that. I don't want that.
So that matters.
I don't want to turn into our own robot overlords. No.
Every step matters. Anything you can achieve that betters the lives of other people, I think deserves a round of applause. And if it hasn't gotten all the way there yet, and anybody's telling you, well, don't do that because then we won't get all the way there, fuck off. Masa says, my flag. Your flag, in your mind, represents fewer freedoms than I think it represents.
It's our flag.
It's our
it doesn't
flag.
belong to any individual.
That's right.
Our patriotism was not trademarked by the Republicans. It belongs to all of us.
It's not
our
a product
flag,
brand.
our country, our street.
Yes.
And no state in the United States should be a police state. We are not being invaded. We don't need military presence on any of our American streets. None of them. Crime in D.C. was down 30% as of January when Biden was still in the White House. Crime is down nationally. We do not need the National Guard. And by the way, they need to disobey these unlawful orders because they're unlawful. All of these orders from Trump and Hegseth are unlawful. We don't need armed guards in the streets of America. We do not. We need to fight against the people who put the armed guards in the streets. So we don't need that.
A couple of things. Thank you, Gino. Incrementalism does indeed work. Gulf Marine says, SNAP is necessitated by corporations who don't pay a living wage. Let me explain something to you about something that can be right and wrong at the exact same time. Technically, you're right. If they paid a living wage, you wouldn't need SNAP. But nobody can eat your outrage. And right now,
correct,
we need to feed children who don't have enough food. That's it. Now,
also,
you want to work on the other shit.
Don't have enough food.
Right.
Food insecurity is a huge issue in this country.
How in the world would sacrificing children and going, well, some people are just going to have to go hungry until they're mad enough to strike, which is a technique that has been used by revolution, is so fucked up, right? Right. And
we as a
yeah.
people should not have to suffer. In
Right.
2025, in modern society, there's no reason for any of this suffering that we've been dealing with, except that Donald Trump has
Mhm.
a grudge against the entire world, and we're paying for it.
Mhm.
Kamala Harris would not have put in these tariffs. Kamala Harris wouldn't be invading
Nope.
American cities. Kamala Harris
Kamala
wouldn't
Harris
be
would
trying
have
to
limited
flatten
what
Gaza,
Netanyahu
but turn
could
it
do.
into
Right.
the
Yep.
no.
We were saying the
Kamala
same
Harris
thing.
is not a war criminal who wants to
Right.
turn Gaza into the Atlantic City of the Middle East. Kamala Harris doesn't want to go into schools and inspect children's genitals before they go to gym class. All
Right.
of this fucked up shit. Democrats don't want any of this. Democrats deliver the goods. Republicans remove everything that's good. I don't know why people don't understand this, but what I do know, and I know we're at time here, Labor Day.
Mhm.
We are in the streets again on Labor Day, which is
Yeah.
next Monday, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Next Monday, 50501 is doing another, and they're saying they're calling it music festivals because apparently if you use the word protest, people are getting triggered by that word now. Every state is holding a 501 Labor Day workers against billionaires protest.
Mhm.
That has been in the plans for a while. I expect every single person within the sound of my voice to be in the streets next Monday, but I also have the privilege here in Portland. I'm giving a speech at our rally.
Great.
So if you're in Portland, yeah, I gave one at the one last month, which had a decent turnout, but this one's going to be huge. And what we're anticipating is the biggest national march yet. The biggest numbers, the biggest turnout, because now we have even more reasons. Because now he's going to send the National Guard into more cities because he doesn't want us talking about the Epstein files. This sundowning blight on humanity that we have been cursed with for 10 years, who flung his fucking loaded diaper all over our political norms, desecrated our Constitution, and continues to threaten our livelihoods to make us less safe. If you're now not out in the streets next Monday, I don't know what you're doing. You need to
Mhm.
channel this outrage into something that's productive and also gets it out of your head and out of your body. Get in the streets. Get in the streets, because the show of humanity in the streets is pushing back against authoritarianism. That's how we win. Don't sit
Mhm.
online and complain. I can't stand it. Like, we're doing something, right? You and I and
Right.
everyone else who hosts a podcast, everyone who's invested in telling the truth about what's happening in this country, we're doing something. And what you were saying about every bit of progress that moves us forward, every act of resistance matters as well.
Yep.
No matter how small,
Yeah.
so that if you're not someone who's physically comfortable with going in the streets, you're worried about retribution, you're worried about all of that, then share the links on your socials. Here is someone who's speaking truth to power. Here's HAL Sparks' Substack. Here's Tara Dublin's Substack. Here's Tara Dublin. Here's our podcast. Here's our blogs. Here's our books. Here's where we are on social. Here's where we're gathering.
Right.
The truth matters now more than ever. And the mainstream media is not really helping, although they're starting to wake up a little bit because Trump's physical appearance is undeniable. And
Yeah.
they're starting to report on that but at the same time, they're not doing, like, they've been out in the streets every night in Los Angeles, and the mainstream media doesn't report on that. So we have to make it undeniable that we are done. We are fucking done. I want him gone. I want a recount of the 2024 election. I want Congress to return and immediately begin impeachment proceedings, because it's enough. This is the United States of America, and we stand up and we speak out when things are wrong. We don't go, oh, well, maybe someone will fix it. No,
No.
not
Yeah.
good, not enough.
Yep.
I'm energized. I'm ready to go.
I gotta say, like, one of the things.
and
Yes.
we
Go ahead.
all
Finish
have to
that.
feel that,
Yeah.
use your energy in the way that feels right for you. Don't
That's right.
sit on it. Don't sit on your hands.
Right. And
Now is
also,
not the time.
don't let this fucking 90s nihilist bullshit, all deference to the 90s, but to cull you into inaction. Because one of the things that's important about language, you guys know I'm about, like, culling the jargon as much as I can, is that when people use terms like always, everybody, everything, nothing, those kind of grandiose terms are standard motivator talk when you're trying to drive a crowd to do something. No one will do what we will do. Only I can, blah, blah, blah. That's why Trump does it. But the reality is,
Right.
you're not alone. There's a lot more people out there who think the way you do. And if you think you're surrounded on
That's
all
right.
sides by stupid all the time, you won't reach out and you'll assume the worst in your fellow human beings. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to
That's
disconnect.
right.
They want you to think of them as an enemy because you live in a red state. And that's why, by the way, you have a bunch of red states that would have been purple or blue a long fucking time ago if every Democrat in that state voted instead of going, well, I'm in a red district and the reds, it's always red. Well, there's somebody 3 houses down from you and 3 houses down from them and 3 houses down from them who's thinking the same fucking thing. And if all of you voted, you would have voted for a Republican or a Democrat a long time ago and they would have won.
Yeah.
And
my biggest issue is when people complain and they don't do anything about it.
right.
Don't complain. Do something. You know, like you don't have to run for office to do something, but you can get.
You gotta ease people.
Active,
right. You gotta ease people into it. So I would say, complain all you want. Just do it while you're doing something. You can, wear both.
Yeah.
You walk and bitch at the same time, but at least get up off your ass and walk. And that would be where participate in the democracy. Right.
Exactly.
And don't let them talk you out of your vote.
Don't be half-assed about it. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. That's right. Your vote is your voice. Do not let them take your voice from you.
That's right.
Ever, ever, ever. And I really think that we're going to see a humongous blue wave in 2026 because
I agree.
Republicans have proven that they are not to be trusted, that they have chosen loyalty to Trump and their bank accounts over our democracy. And if you want to call it a Democratic Republic or stop using semantics to try to get away with your bullshit. Right now, it really doesn't matter what box you ticked on your voter registration card. This is about humanity. This is a human issue. This is about the American population surviving and thriving and having actual future generations to enjoy the freedoms that our founders fought and died for.
Yeah.
Again, if you don't like our democracy, then go start your colony on an island
Yeah.
in the middle
Go
of
join
the
Peter
Pacific,
Thiel's
away
on
from the
an
rest of
oil
us.
rig.
Please.
Yeah, in Thiel's
Go get
stand. Right.
Or Epstein's probably on an island somewhere. Go live with him and Trump. Go ahead. Go. Get the fuck away from us. Keep your bullshit out of our schools and out of our government. Like
Right.
there was a time, and it was called 2015. Before Trump descended that tacky gold escalator and flung his loaded diaper all over our political norms, I encourage you, go back and pull up any news broadcast from like February 2015 and compare it to what you see today. It's ridiculous how abnormal the slow boil became. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. And that's like a whole other show that we could just talk about that.
Totally.
My point being, going forward, this week is going to be even more insane than last week. So stay focused, stay smart. Like, don't get trapped in a fight with a fake account on Twitter. Be smart with your time and use your energy wisely. And just make sure that you're supporting all of these people who are invested in telling you the truth and who care about the future of this democracy. 2 of them are on your screen right now. And there are great ways to continue to support us and every single person who HAL brings on, everybody who joins the Tara Show, everybody in the Political Voices Network universe, whether you drop in a couple of bucks to the super chat or you sign up for a paid Substack or you buy John's book or you buy my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, which is available now at taradublinrocks.com. Thank you so much. I'm very excited to have you back with us on Thursday.
Could be good.
So that we can continue this conversation. So everybody who's here, even Rick Sanchez, who I think we ran off, but you're all welcome to come back.
He turned into another
and
one.
Hang out with us.
They shut a countdown and then they go to another one. Right, yeah. But hey, I got to say.
That's fine. They all find out eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
well,
I'm
the
fine
bots
with it.
won't.
You know what? Now that I'm also occasionally, like next Thursday, the 4th, Devlin and I are going to be back on John Fugelsang's Sirius XM show. But I'm also eventually, soon, I hope, going to be filling in occasionally on Sirius XM Progress when people go on vacation. And one of the things I will get to do is take phone calls and speak with people, which I'm really excited to do because I don't get to do that. I mean, I try. I just tried with Rick and I tried with people because I'm genuinely interested in these conversations.
Sure.
Not in the I'm trying to change your mind way. It's more like I'm trying to understand your mind way. And so I'm looking forward to that opportunity because conversation voice to voice
Mhm.
Like, that's a huge difference than a
Right.
conversation this way. So I ask for people. I know you're exhausted. I know it's a lot. I know it feels insurmountable, but I promise you, good people are fighting for good things.
Yeah.
And that's us.
Every day.
And so we stay together. We stay motivated. If you need a break, take your self-care break. We're always going to be here. Your
Mhm.
resistance team is in place. Okay. So again,
Yeah,
I'm just
awesome.
super. I'm as soon as I get off the air, I'm writing my speech for next Monday.
Love
So
it.
I'm like, it's
Do
like
it.
someone put a punching bag right in front of me.
Yeah.
I will see you on Thursday on the Tara Show at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Sparklers, be good to each other, be good to yourselves. I love you and I appreciate you. And Hal, you're the best.
I insist. Thanks.
just
You
the
too.
best.
All right. Good luck.
All the
Bye.
See you soon.
There
Bye,
she goes.
friends.
Off to do the actual work. And thanks for being here, everybody. I think, let's see if I can bring the chat room up. There you guys are. Look at this. First of all, I'm very proud of our troll turnout today. That usually means I'm making an impact. So that's good. Also, trolls help us in a way in the algorithm that our regular viewers can't. And the great thing about time when they give us their eyeballs is there's no refunds. So they could be elsewhere probably doing more harm. So it's better that they come here and deflate and find their impotence. I did notice that there was one account calling themselves Ted Bundy saying they supported Trump, which would be no surprise to anybody. I think Ted Bundy would clearly be a Trump supporter because they share the same view of women. I think we can all agree. That's it. Yes, they're very triggered today. And you know why? Hashtag Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. That's it. Yeah, they... I got to say, it's not like they can go... Like, they come over here and yell at us when they can't go to their own chat rooms around Charlie Kirk and other places and, like, applaud what Trump is doing because they're in a fucking panic. How do you think they're hoping Trump makes it past the 2-year mark so J.D. Vance will be able to get a total of 10 years as president? No. He first of all, he won't. At best, they're thinking he might make a George H.W., but no. And I think technically you can only serve 8 years as part of the 2. It doesn't just say 2 terms. I'd have to look it up, but it might very well be that he couldn't run again because that 6 would put him over the line. Well, I guess they're hoping that he gets 7 years would be the thing. Because I think that, and again, they got bigger fish to fry. Maggots aren't going to line up behind J.D. Vance. They just aren't. Yeah, 16.21 Scaramucci's and counting, right? J.D. Ford Vance. Just dumb Vance. I don't know why they say just dance Vance, because it rhymes. Just stick with, just dumb. Just dumb over here. Ceasefire. In each place, none of them are going to happen. His eyeliner is on point. I agree. It smokes. I would. You guys do the same amount and then just do this. That's what I always did. Only if Trump gets 20 years, right? That guy liner's not a bad thing. You guys know I'm a closet glam vestite. It's the hiding it and pretending you're not doing it that's weird. Yeah, Mandel, that's his birth name? Well, he try to run as J.D. Vance and then run as Mandel after they go, I'm actually, no chance Vance. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, no chance Vance actually is terrific. Shady Vance. Shady Vance works too. It's not that easy. We just spitball them. Especially, when it comes to, a guy like that.
Couch humping. Couch humping. Jumping. Feel the beat. Feel the beat. Take it higher. Can't retreat. Feel the rhythm. Can't deny. Can't deny. Couch humping. Reach the sky.
So, that said, I'll see you guys later on this afternoon. I'm enjoying this song right now, so I'll play us out in my techno-futurist nightmare. I'll see you this afternoon. There's a lot to cover. Oh my God, I'm not sure how we're gonna get up through all of it, but I'll do my best. Hey, it's a Monday. Time to work hard. All right, I will see you guys later. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And to all the trolls who joined us today, to you I simply say Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein.
The screen glows bright with a crooked smile. Words spill out. All venom, no style. Promises made.
Thank you guys so much for the likes. Give a thumbs up. If you're a maggot troll, please hit thumbs down and write something mean in the chat. It really helps. Yes, where's Dan Bonholio?
The strings are tight. Shadows whisper in the dead of night. This is some bullshit.